Chapter 27-29. It's not that I'm careless, it's just that you're too weak. Next, ranked 18th, Xian Pai. At this time, an indifferent voice rang out. A new opponent had appeared. It was actually Lin Ling's defeated opponent, Xian Pai. This Xian Pai was also the 6th strongest of the Resplendent Academy's strongest generation. Ranked 18th. Looks like the mysterious referee did something again. Sensing the opponent, many people had a feeling because the next opponent seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. It wasn't random. Xian Pai Sr. defeated Lin Ling. On the Resplendent Academy's side, cheers rang out. Lin Ling's honorable withdrawal from the academy was a disgrace to the Resplendent Academy. Especially the last war god blocking the way, he was actually sent flying by Lin Ling. So at this moment, everyone hoped that Xian Pai could wash away the disgrace and raise the prestige of the Resplendent Academy. Of course, some geniuses were silent. In their hearts, Lin Ling was the real senior. Xian Pai, it's time for you to prove yourself. At this moment, Dean Qin's eyes were flickering. If Lin Ling was defeated by Xian Pai, then Lin Ling would lose face. Moreover, she could also prove that her eyes were not wrong. Under everyone's gaze, Xian Pai flew towards the ancient lake and looked at Lin Ling seriously. Lin Ling, I know you're strong. But after a year, I'm not the same as before. Xian Pai was the first to speak. Even though Lin Ling was injured, he did not underestimate Lin Ling. You're afraid of me. Lin Ling revealed a smile. This was the first time he smiled since the sky-surpassing academy's ranking. You. Xian Pai's face suddenly turned sluggish. Lin Ling's words were like a knife, piercing straight into his heart. Ha ha ha, the 6th-ranked genius of the Resplendent Academy, in my opinion, you're just a trash. Lin Ling's laughter became louder and louder. Heroic, free and easy. At this moment, he gave people the feeling that he was a war god. The more he fought, the more useful he became. You! Xian Pai angrily shouted again, as if he couldn't refute. However, the corner of his mouth immediately revealed a sneer. I admit, you are indeed very powerful, but if you want to defeat me, you have to use the flame wheel. If you don't believe me, you can try. Is that so? You think too highly of yourself. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled contemptuously. He even reached out his hand towards the Xian faction. He extended his thumb and pointed downwards. The Resplendent Academy is just like you, a motley crew. The moment he said that, the people from the Resplendent Academy were immediately displeased. Lin Ling actually dared to look down on them. Dean Qin's face was also incomparably gloomy. Lin Ling didn't give her any face at all. However, the pupil of the Black Sect revealed an excited smile. Previously, his words seemed like he was giving Lin Ling respect, but in reality, he was trying to elevate Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling's self-confidence to swell. In the end, he died because of his carelessness. And now, the effect he wanted had been achieved. Lin Ling began to look down on everything and became arrogant and conceited. This was an excellent opportunity. That's right, we are a motley crew. You, Lin Ling, are the true genius. Xian faction said indifferently. Then, seeing that Lin Ling still seemed to be proud of himself, the corner of his mouth immediately curled into a sneer. Without waiting for Lin Ling to react, he punched out. This punch seemed to be mainly probing, but in reality, he had already condensed all of his realm essence, preparing to give Lin Ling a fatal blow. At the same time, the surging aura of the war god erupted, fighting the heavens and the earth, fighting everything. Resonance of the gods. The bloodline of the war god was activated. One by one, the war gods descended and appeared behind the Xian faction. Furthermore, their palms fiercely slapped out, giving the Xian faction a powerful force. This change was born in an instant. The people around the Yun Mountain were originally shocked by Lin Ling's arrogance, but now, they were all shocked by the power of the Xian faction. This fellow clearly intended to kill with a single blow. And Lin Ling seemed to have been tricked. He was actually arrogant and complacent. How sad. Boom. The surging fist landed on Lin Ling's body without any suspense, causing the ancient lake water to surge with monstrous waves. This showed how terrifying this punch was. Arrogant soldiers are bound to be defeated. The Xian faction immediately let out a complacent laugh, as if all the humiliation he had suffered in the past year had been released. In fact, for the past year, in order to let him defeat Lin Ling, Dean Qin had focused on training him. Because if he defeated Lin Ling, not only would he wash away the humiliation, but even Dean Qin would be greatly honored. And now, he did not disappoint Dean Qin. Good method, using words to make Lin Ling proud and let his guard down, then using a fatal blow. If it was any other time, Lin Ling might not have been hit, but now that Lin Ling is injured, coupled with continuous fighting, that punch is definitely unbearable for Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling is so arrogant that he has lost his mind, which led to him easily being hit by that punch. Everyone was also discussing spiritedly. They never expected that Lin Ling would be defeated by the Xian faction. Of course, Lin Ling was actually defeated by his own arrogance. I've said it before, you are all a bunch of mobs. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice suddenly rang out. Colorful flames filled the air, causing the Xian faction's pupils to tremble violently. In front of him, a gorgeous flame was burning, and a blue and white robe slowly walked out of the flame. After appearing in front of the Xian faction, the young man gently patted his chest that was hit by the fist and said indifferently, "In this year, you have improved very little." This sentence stunned the Xian faction. In the past, when he blocked Lin Ling's escape route, Lin Ling had to use his strongest technique to defeat him. And now, Lin Ling was safe and sound after receiving his punch. How can this be? In this year, my strength has increased by 10%. The Xian faction kept shaking his head, unwilling to believe what was happening in front of him. To increase his strength by 10% in a year, even in the last generation, this was unique. That was why he was so confident in today's battle. I'm sorry, my strength has increased by several times. However, Lin Ling lightly spat out a sentence, causing the Xian faction to feel as if he had been struck by lightning. How would the Xian faction know that Lin Ling had also activated the evil flame change, and with the descent of the Qian Kun change, coupled with his terrifying physical strength, he was no longer afraid of the Xian faction's attack. Of course, Lin Ling could not block this kind of attack many times, at most 3 times. However, this was enough, because in just one time, the Xian faction's soul would be scattered. Moreover, this was when Lin Ling was not attacking. If he attacked, the Xian faction would not even be able to touch a hair on his body. You think you can make me careless with your words? In reality, it's not that I am careless, it's that you are too weak. Lin Ling said sarcastically. He took a step forward, and a rolling fist punched out. This punch was even more ferocious than the previous one, because it was coupled with the power of the evil flame change. It's not that you are careless, it's that I am too weak. Chapter 27:30. 3 punches to kill. Rumble. With a punch, Xian Pai immediately felt the pressure. He instantly knew that in this 1 year, Lin Ling's strength had increased by several times. He subconsciously wondered where Lin Ling had gone to cultivate in this 1 year. Boom! A punch broke Xian Pai's arm. Blood was dripping, and even the war god behind him had dimmed by a lot. Haven't you noticed that I'm already at the 4th level of True God Realm? A huge mouth appeared behind Lin Ling. It was as if it could swallow mountains and rivers. He punched out again. In the past, when he defeated me, he was at the 2nd level of True God Realm. Now, he's at the 4th level of True God Realm. However, even if he consecutively increased by 2 levels, it's impossible for his combat strength to increase by several times. Xian Pai seemed to have lost his will to fight as he kept shaking his head. He didn't know that Lin Ling was a triple cultivator. With one breakthrough, his combat strength would naturally increase by several times. After all, the resources that Lin Ling used for his training were several times more than what others used. Boom! With another punch, Xian Pai's other arm was broken. Blood spurted out. Lin Ling is crazy enough. Who is the war god? In the past, Lin Ling narrowly defeated Xian Pai's senior brother. Today, he crushed him. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Over at Resplendent Academy's side, many geniuses were shocked by the scene in front of them. Geniuses were originally the representatives of fighting beyond their level. However, when a genius met a demon, the genius could only become a mediocre person. Xian Pai, you think that by using provocation, I'll be careless? In fact, the careless one is you. The last punch, mixed with Lin Ling's cold-killing intent, directly destroyed Xian Pai's body. Xian Pai's thought before he died. Was he careless? Could it be that although Lin Ling looked weak, in fact, he had already recovered to his peak? This meant that not only was he careless, but everyone was careless. Lin Ling was also using this opportunity to kill everyone who had killing intent towards him. Boom! Unfortunately, he seemed to have found out too late. Above the ancient lake, Xian Pai's body was directly blown apart by a single punch. Blood spilled all over the ancient lake, causing the white lake to turn scarlet. 3 punches to kill Xian Pai. This result left countless people dumbfounded. Was Lin Ling weak or at his peak? Furthermore, even if he had recovered from his injuries, it would still be impossible for him to kill Xian Pai so easily. Could it be that Lin Ling had forcefully displayed his strength? At this moment, no one could remain unmoved. Dean Qin was stunned, her teeth grinding. Lin Ling had killed Xian Pai in 3 punches, clean and efficient, domineering and carefree. This was also another challenge to her dignity, and she carefully recalled the past. Other than Lin Ling's first and second battles being a little difficult, the subsequent battles were getting stronger and stronger. And because of his embarrassing performance in the first 2 matches, it gave rise to a misconception that Lin Ling was very weak and had reached his limit. He still has the Ashura sword formation that hasn't been activated yet, and his flaming coffin hasn't been activated yet. Gosh, he's currently relying on his fists to defeat his opponents. Everyone seemed to have come to their senses, and voices rang out like waves. Even Meng Lu and the rest were shocked. They were still worried about Lin Ling, but Lin Ling's strength was simply beyond their imagination. It seems that I still need some time to defeat him. Meng Lu said dishearteningly. He thought that Lin Ling's strength was on par with his, but that was just his wishful thinking. Next match. Next match. At this moment, Lin Ling was sitting cross-legged above the ancient lake, and his indifferent voice drifted out. And this sentence shocked everyone. Lin Ling seemed to be eager for the next match. Most importantly, this was the 6th match. Lin Ling, was he going to successfully clear the rankings? Moreover, even if Lin Ling was defeated, he had created a new record for the first place on the Heavenly Crossing list. From a nameless existence, he had crazily become one of the top 30 on the Heavenly Crossing list. One must know that the last generation of the Heavenly Crossing list had used hundreds or even thousands of years to climb to the top. Ranked 17th, Chao Gui. Old man. At this moment, the old voice quietly rang out, but it was mixed with thick anger. Because Lin Ling's tyrannical cleansing of the rankings seemed to be a slap to his face. Countless gazes immediately searched the rankings, and finally landed on a young man with a square face. After seeing him, many geniuses exclaimed. They never thought that it would be this legendary figure. Chao Gui was extremely famous in the three major academies, and he was also the most monstrous genius in Sky Saint Academy. His growth speed was the same as Lin Ling's. However, compared to Lin Ling, he was powerless and finally stopped at 17th place on the Heavenly Crossing list. And now, the two most monstrous geniuses were going to clash. At this moment, Chao Gui frowned. Was he going to fight? The result of fighting was death. This was an unchanging rule. However, facing Lin Ling, he really did not have the confidence to fight. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. After his voice drifted out, the entire Great Cloud Mountain was in an uproar. He was the first of the strongest generation to admit defeat. Most importantly, this strongest generation had once been known as the monstrous genius with the fastest cultivation speed. However, now that the two monstrous geniuses with the fastest cultivation speed had clashed, he was the one to admit defeat. However, no one mocked him because the current Lin Ling gave them an unfathomable feeling. Even now, they were not sure if Lin Ling was weak or strong. Trash. Trash. The Azure Dragon King, Thunderclap Mother, and the rest cursed. They thought that the strongest generation had been frightened by Lin Ling. Even the mysterious referee was the same. At this moment, his voice was even colder. Next, the 12th place on the life and death ring. Yes. After the voice drifted out, the strongest generation on the heavenly transcendence rankings all sighed lightly. Obviously, other than the top 10 existences, no one else dared to fight Lin Ling. They were even afraid of being drawn. This scene was completely different from the high fighting spirit from before. It was extremely ironic. Life and Death Ring. What a strange name, and this strongest generation seems to have never heard of it. Yes. This is the strongest generation following a Prince of Five Ring City. Naturally, ordinary people have never heard of his name. Yes. Countless gazes fell on the heavenly transcendence rankings, their eyes filled with anticipation. Would this strongest generation, called the Life and Death Ring, dare to fight? At this moment, a young man wearing a white robe and a white hat sat indifferently at the foot of Great Cloud Mountain. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. However, he was extremely calm and unmoving like a mountain. However, the strongest generation that had reached the top 10 rankings were all existences that could not be underestimated. They had experienced countless battles and had roamed the east, west, south, and north for a long time. They also knew many mysteries of the universe. Therefore, they were more calm than the other strongest generation. Lin Ling, his physical body is very strong. The injuries he suffered before should have recovered by now. Life and Death Ring. The Life and Death Ring said indifferently, as if he was not in a hurry. The few people beside him also nodded slightly. We have all been deceived by him. However, I am sure that his realm essence has not completely recovered. One of them also spoke. He was in existence in the top 10. Chapter 2731. The Life and Death Platform's heaven-defying talent. Moreover, he used the Shura sword formation before. That's his strongest move so far. He has 70% of his sword heart. I guess that's his final trump card. I agree. Although it's rumored that he has the flame wheel, if the Shura sword formation is stronger than the flame wheel, then the flame wheel is not his final trump card. Yes. This Lin Ling might be a strong opponent to the other strongest generation, but he's not that strong to the top 10. Yes. The others also said one after another, expressing their opinions in a serious manner. Those voices made people even more astonished. Lin Ling had already reached such a height. He needed to be evaluated by the strongest generation before he dared to go on stage. If you dare, then go. If you don't dare, then get lost. Yes. But at this moment, Lin Ling suddenly shouted, looking down on the strongest generation. Nonsense. Yes. Hearing this, the top 10 strongest generation said coldly. The life and death platform also stood up. I'm not from the Xian faction. Yes. His words seemed to be saying that Lin Ling could only be proud of being outside the top 10. The top 10 was not someone he could face. If you only have the way of the sword, then you'll lose. Yes. The life and death platform seemed to have decided. Seeing him stand up, many people laughed. The life and death platform was going to fight. Moreover, the life and death platform was very cautious. He had evaluated Lin Ling's strength before. Now that he dared to go on stage, it meant that he had absolute confidence. I've heard this sentence many times, but I'm still alive, so don't talk nonsense. Yes. Lin Ling was still sitting cross-legged. He said indifferently, moreover, if you delay any longer, my realm essence will recover to its peak. Yes. Yes. The life and death platform's pupils constricted, then anger rose in his heart. Lin Ling was actually warning him. As you wish. Yes. The white figure floated into the ancient lake, making countless people look forward to it. This battle would probably be very exciting. Ranked 12th in the strongest generation, there was no need to doubt his strength. Even if he couldn't defeat Lin Ling, he could definitely put Lin Ling in an extremely difficult situation. If things went wrong, it might even end in a draw. And a tie also meant that Lin Ling had failed to clear the rankings. Subconsciously, many people looked at Lin Ling, wanting to know how Lin Ling would treat the life and death arena. I'll kill you with one strike. Lin Ling also stood up. His indifferent voice drifted out, causing the ancient lake's water to surge mightily. Its aura was magnificent. Only now did people discover that Lin Ling was indeed becoming fiercer the more he fought. Humph, if words can win, then you've already won. Use your Ashura sword formation, see how I break it. The corner of the life and death platform's mouth twitched as he coldly spat out a sentence. His aura also rose steadily. 5th level true god realm, and he also had a divine body. The most terrifying thing was that this person had awakened the true god martial spirit. A white figure floated out from behind him. It was actually a life and death ghost god. This ghost god had fangs and a green face. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand, and his body was illusory. However, when he floated in the sky, ghostly cries could be heard from time to time. Lin Ling also looked at his opponent in astonishment. This was the first time he saw a true god martial spirit born from a divine body. He wondered if this true god martial spirit could increase one's attack, defense, or the power of one's talent. My true god martial spirit is invincible. It can resist any kind of attack. If you don't believe me, you can try it. The life and death platform narrowed his eyes as he spoke. His right hand pointed, and the mysterious nether god behind him waved his horsetail whisk gently. A dense ghostly aura spread out like a tide, and within the rolling tide, a tall ghost general appeared. It was riding on a three-headed hell wolf as it pounced towards Lin Ling. Seeing this, Lin Ling furrowed his brows and slashed out with his sword. Swoosh! That slash directly destroyed the ghost general. It seemed like it couldn't withstand a single blow. Seeing this, people were a little surprised. The life and death platform didn't seem to be as powerful as they had imagined. Have you realized how heaven-defying my talent is? However, the life and death platform said calmly and confidently, if you can't realize it, it means that you're just like this. You should know that a truly powerful warrior doesn't rely on martial arts, but on talent. Hearing this, people were even more confused. A ghost general that couldn't withstand a single blow didn't seem to be heaven-defying. Lin Ling's eyes flickered slightly. It seemed like the life and death platform's true god martial spirit could increase one's talent. His 10,000 elephant demon eyes had quietly appeared and gradually discovered the life and death platform's heaven-defying talent. He had to admit that the life and death platform's talent was really powerful. That was because the ghost general he summoned could absorb all of the opponent's attacks and bring it to the underworld. Previously, his slash seemed to have destroyed the ghost general. In fact, that slash had taken the ghost general down with him. This meant that no matter how powerful the attack was, as long as it met the ghost general, it would only end in mutual destruction. Those ghost generals were like death soldiers, and the life and death platform's final generation could summon ghost generals continuously. What a powerful talent! Lin Ling said indifferently. The life and death platform smiled and nodded, "You're not too stupid. Now, are you sure you can kill me with one slash?" Another frog at the bottom of the well. "You think that with a powerful talent, you can sweep away everything. You don't know that martial arts are the foundation of martial arts." Lin Ling shook his head. "You will understand." The life and death platform obviously didn't want to explain anything. Only after Lin Ling was defeated, would he know that he was the frog at the bottom of the well. Night Ghost World. The life and death platform opened his hands, and the underworld song danced. The true god martial spirit behind him kept raising the horsetail whisk. One by one, ghost generals appeared and attacked Lin Ling. Looking carefully, there were no less than 366 ghost generals. This guy seemed to have brought out a powerful world of hell. He was obviously the Lord of Hell. Lin Ling was in the rainforest Holy Land. He could also do this, but the difference was that the rainforest Holy Land was only a very weak world. It couldn't be compared to the world brought by the life and death platform. Use your trump card, Ashura sword formation. The life and death platform seemed to have seen the hope of victory. The reason why he dared to fight was that he had made a careful assessment. He knew that he would definitely win, so he dared to go up and kill Lin Ling. As you wish. Lin Ling also knew that relying on physical strength and close-range attacks was useless against the talent of the life and death platform. This was because the ghost generals summoned by the opponent could take away all attacks. They were the nemesis of close-range combat. Swoosh! Swoosh! 365 swords appeared in a grandiose manner. Lin Ling's Ashura sword formation had 365 swords, but the life and death platform summoned 366 netherworld generals, one more than Lin Ling's sword. What does this mean? As expected of the life and death platform, he completely restrained the swordsman. I understand. The swordsman's attack was the most powerful, but the life and death platform could take away a powerful sword. This meant that Lin Ling's 365 swords were useless against the netherworld generals. Instead, the extra netherworld general would deal a fatal blow to Lin Ling. Oh. So that's how it is. This talent is really scary. It can take away all attacks. It's like a death warrior. This is using a small amount to win a big amount. Under the voices of some ancient martial artists, many people gradually understood the power of the life and death platform. Chapter 2732. The Last Three Battles. How was Lin Ling going to fight now? Was he going to stop at the 12th place on the rankings? Under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling's sword floated in the air, its sharp aura slicing through space. You can't do anything to me, can you? Seeing that Lin Ling wasn't using his sword, the life and death arena expert sneered. Powerful talent only helps you in battle. It doesn't mean you're invincible. Each of your 366 ghost emperors can take away one of my swords in a one-on-one battle, but what if my swords are gathered together? Their power won't be as simple as 1 + 1. Kill. Finally, Lin Ling used his sword. He pointed with his right hand, and his sword cut through the life and death arena. Something terrifying happened. The 365 swords that were separated actually began to merge together at this moment. The surging aura was earth-shattering. The fourth level of the Ashura sword formation. When a gigantic sword appeared, countless people were moved. The experts around Great Cloud Mountain stood up one by one, and their expressions changed drastically. Sword domain. One of the ancient swordsmen from the sword world said in a trembling voice. Above the ultimate sword Tao's true meaning of sword was the sword domain. It could draw out a great amount of energy from the primal chaos of the universe and augment one's martial arts, doubling or even tripling the power of one's martial arts. This was the foundation for those with weak talent to defeat those with great talent. And those swords are forming a formation. Could it be a boundary? Kill! Some blacksmiths exclaimed. Using swords to form a boundary was unheard of. The power made them feel that once the sword formation was formed, the 100 worlds would be cut in half. Even on the life and death arena, his eyes were wide open. That huge sword actually gave him a strong pressure. Not only did it have 70% sword heart, it also had the might of the great Tao. Especially the spirit formation light emitted by the huge sword, he couldn't understand it at all. You said I would understand, but I still don't. I'd like to see how you block my sword. Kill! Lin Ling shouted coldly. He pointed his right hand forward, and the giant sword cut through the air like purple lightning. Not good. Kill! The life and death arena expert exclaimed. He had underestimated Lin Ling, but the situation was beyond his control. He could only let the ghost generals attack the giant sword in an attempt to take it away. Rumble. The giant sword seemed to be huge, but it was as fast as lightning. The moment it shot out, it crazily collided with the ghost generals. What was terrifying was that the ghost generals that could take away any attack were all destroyed. All of this proved that there was a limit to the life and death ring's innate talent. As long as an attack was beyond their tolerance, the ghost generals would not be able to withstand it. Rumble. A deafening sound rang out. Under the ferocious giant sword, the life and death platform was killed in a single strike. An Omega sword Tao's domain of sword was clearly not something he could withstand. Even the ultimate martial ways Tao domain was unique among the strongest generation. And this strike contained 70% of Lin Ling's strength. That sword's life and death arena expert. What kind of monstrous comprehension ability does this guy have? He actually comprehended the sword domain. In a distant mountain range, the great existences were mumbling to themselves. Sword of the Five Kings, I remember that you took 10,000 years to comprehend the life and death arena. That guy didn't even cultivate for 2,000 years. Yes. That's right, he's a sword Tao genius. TSK, I can't believe that such a genius is despised by everyone. Tong Man is still the best. He saw through that youth's fate. Yes. The titans of Mount Tai and Big Dipper spoke one after another. The child in front of them still had his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes flashed with a strange light. He said indifferently, very few ordinary people have this kind of talent. Only a few aberrations do. One of them is the 10,000 mammoths' demon eyes, one of the 6 great god eyes of the universe. Yes. What? He's one of the 6 great god eyes like you. The others immediately exclaimed in surprise, and they looked at Lin Ling as if they were looking at a freak. Moreover, their gazes contained a wisp of burning desire. If not for their high seniority and the fact that they were on the heaven-surpassing rankings, they would have rushed out to take Lin Ling away and take him as their last disciple. Because they knew how terrifying the 10,000 mammoth demon eyes was. It was the nemesis of all martial arts. It could easily comprehend any martial arts. I'm just guessing. The child suddenly smiled. My destiny god eye can see through anyone's fate, but it has its limits. For example, I can't see through existences that surpass the desolate physique. There are many existences that surpass the desolate physique other than the 6 great god eyes. That's true. I heard that the heavens will physique has a terrifying comprehension ability. I don't know if he has the 10,000 mammoth demon eyes or the heavens will physique, but overall, he is a seedling that cannot be missed. That's right. Everyone nodded. The universe was vast and boundless. There were even more powerful geniuses outside of Qing province. Some geniuses were born with desolate physiques. Therefore, other than the person involved, it was very difficult for others to know about this. Next match. Yes. At the same time, an indifferent voice floated out from the ancient lake. He said that he only needed 1 slash, and he really did kill with 1 slash. Now, he only has 3 matches left. TSK, until now, I'm actually more nervous than him. When Lin Ling's voice floated out, everyone's hearts trembled. They realized that Lin Ling's chances of clearing the rankings were getting higher and higher. When did this brat become so strong? Killing a 5th level true God realm expert with a divine physique, it's actually so easy for him. Even Chi Yuhu was shocked. He never imagined that the new recruit who grew up in the martial god barracks would reach such heights today. Most importantly, the time he spent to achieve this wasn't even 1,000 years. Some were surprised, some were happy, and naturally, there were people who were angry. Especially the Azure Dragon Manor's Manor Lord, the Azure Dragon King. His expression was the coldest. In his eyes, Lin Ling was nothing more than an ant. If he wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. But now, Lin Ling's strength was getting stronger and stronger. If he alarmed the great Azure God dynasty, he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Therefore, he had to stifle Lin Ling's footsteps. Ranked 5th, the left minister's disciple. At this time, the old voice with a dignified aura sounded. Moreover, this time, he skipped a large number of the strongest generation and directly entered the top 5. Obviously, in the remaining 3 matches, Lin Ling would be facing the top kings of the rankings. They were at the pinnacle of the 3 academies pyramid. One more step, and that would be the identity of an elder. Senior brother left minister is going to battle, the Ghost Cave clan's only successor. Countless gazes fell on the scholar on the heavenly transcendence rankings. Obviously, there were many people who knew this left minister's disciple. This was a genius who had accumulated a lot of experience. Chapter 2733. Ghost Cave. But 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west, in the later days, the left prime minister's disciple rose up and killed all the geniuses who mocked him in the past. And he changed his name to left prime minister's disciple, representing the number 1 disciple under the left prime minister. The water of the ancient lake, waves rose without wind, the rolling aura seemed to make the sky oppressive. At the same time, the left prime minister's disciple appeared on the ancient lake, hands behind his back, a calm voice floated out, Lin Ling, you destroyed my disciple's residence, this debt should be settled. Looking indifferently at the 5th strongest generation, Lin Ling also said, that's right. You stole my wife. It's time to settle the score. Your strength is very strong, the talent of the divine body is something I have never seen before, but I guess it should be in the 1st rank, and I will not hide my strength, I am a 6th level true god. The left prime minister's disciple looked at Lin Ling seriously, around his body, 8 trigrams appeared, as if the moonlight shone on his body, it was so bright that people could not see his true appearance. Your martial arts experience is very rich, but compared to me, I don't know how it is. An ancient book appeared in his hand, gently opening it, it seemed to be a heavenly book. 16 Yin Yang Universe Tao Book. The left prime minister's disciple's voice became sacred, he floated in the sky like a saint. Rumble. Under the ancient lake, waves immediately surged, the white lake water seemed to be stirred by an arm. I heard that the left prime minister's disciple has read all the books in the Western world. Western world? The entire Western world? You have to know that there are countless worlds in the Western world, this guy is really abnormal. He found his own martial arts from the books. In addition to the Ghost Cave's powerful calculation ability, he has formed a powerful divine body. I heard it is the immortal book Yin-Yang body. For this, the left Prime Minister personally recruited him as his disciple. What kind of power does this divine body have? I am looking forward to it. Excited voices rang out one after another. Being able to enter the top 5, none of them were weak. They were also geniuses who could enter the 5-ring city. They had endless honor and pride. At this moment, the ancient lake was still roaring, but the atmosphere above the ancient lake was more oppressive. Almost at the same time, a mysterious melody enveloped Lin Ling. It made his face slightly changed, because he saw a giant ghost cave appear in front of him, and wanted to take him into the ghost cave. His face suddenly changed. The world realm swallowing beast's divine body was activated, but the effect did not seem to be great. One had to know that his world swallowing beast god body was extremely powerful. It was able to resist many side effects, but this was the first time he was helpless against the ghost cave. What a strange talent. Lin Ling was secretly shocked. Back when Li Xiaoyao was sweeping through the crowd, he had never seen such talent. Its soul power. Finally, Lin Ling's eyes narrowed. That was because of Soul's Soulless One had to know that Lin Ling's soul power was currently hovering around level 1300. His progress was slow, but he realized that the soul power of the left minister's disciple had probably reached level 1500. The prime god minister disciple, heaven. There would always be someone better than you. Lin Ling had also experienced this saying. Enter my ghost cave. At this moment, the left prime minister's student narrowed his eyes. The corners of his mouth slightly moved as he spat out a sentence. He was ranked 5th in the pyramid. Of course, he had his own strength. His soul force was his trump card. One should know that soul power was the most difficult thing to improve. In Qingzhou, there were many geniuses with powerful soul power. They came from 10,000 worlds, but after arriving in Qingzhou, their soul power was useless against the first generation of the 3 big academies. So, they gave up on soul power and focused on strengthening their domain. The prime god minister disciple was the only genius who was still cultivating his soul power. Lin Ling, something is wrong. Let me see with my sky eye. God, a giant ghost cave appeared in front of Lin Ling, and it wants to swallow him. All his advantages are useless against the ghost cave. Some ancient great beings activated their powers to check the battle above the ancient lake, and they were shocked. No wonder the aura above the ancient lake was so oppressive. It was because of the condensation of powerful soul power. Soul power attacks were formless and colorless. According to legends, it was the power of the universe's origin of chaos. Any martial artist's methods were useless against it. Only some special methods could detect it. Moreover, to be able to affect Lin Ling, it meant that the prime minister disciple's soul power had reached an unimaginable level. Lin Ling, I told you before that I let you leave last time. Otherwise, do you think you could leave? Humbly speaking, killing you is as easy as killing a dog. Seeing that Lin Ling couldn't move, the prime minister disciple shook his head lightly. His words were telling Lin Ling that the gap between them was too big. His arrogance in the past was just a joke. Soul imprint. Go. The prime minister disciple turned around and left. Seeing his carefree appearance, the great cloud mountain was in an uproar. Senior brothers did Lin Ling lose? Yes. Some of the geniuses from the academy cried out in surprise. The left minister's student was from the Ghost Cave clan. This kind of ancient bloodline was truly terrifying. I don't want to explain this. Step. The prime minister disciple stepped on the air, his calm voice drifting out. He then turned to the Azure Dragon Manor Lord, Azure Dragon King, I'm very sorry. I killed Lin Ling for you, but I will give his soul to you. Step. His words were brimming with confidence. Looking up at the sky, clouds move, book in hand, ask the world who is the hero. Looking at the Prime Minister disciple, countless people sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling soared into the sky. Everyone thought that he would successfully clear the name list, but in the end, the Prime Minister disciple stopped him. Lin Ling's soul has been brought into the ghost cave. Step. Some ancient great beings used their heavenly vision ability and discovered a soul being sucked into the ghost cave. Lin Ling, defeated. At this moment, the entire Great Cloud Mountain was in an uproar. At this moment, Lin Ling sensed that his soul had left his body and was sucked into the ghost cave. The ghost cave was filled with ancient songs, mixed with the secrets of the universe. Moreover, the ghost cave was slowly shrinking on the way in. Once it shrank, Lin Ling's soul could no longer leave. What was surprising was that Lin Ling did not panic at all in such a situation. The Ghost Cave clan is probably the same as the ancient war god's bloodline, an ancient race from the chaos of the universe. But in terms of other aspects, Lin Ling, may not be comparable to the ancient desolate race, but in terms of soul force, what is there for me to fear? Exclamation point. Lin Ling's soul force rippled. Because Lin Ling cultivated essence, energy, and spirit, his soul force had always been the strongest existence. In the past, he had cultivated many soul force martial skills, but after coming to the chaos of the universe, due to the influence of the universe's energy, those soul force martial skills were no longer of much help to Lin Ling, resulting in him not cultivating his soul force. Time and Space Divine Steel. Chapter 2734. The terrifying heaven, earth, and man escaped 3 scriptures. 10,000 devil eyes. Lin Ling roared again. His left eye could see through 10,000 things, and his right eye could see through the space-time steel. Rumble. The ghost cave began to tremble, as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Lin Ling's soul force also increased rapidly. Under the pressure of the ghost cave, his soul force surpassed 1,300, and continued to rise, reaching 1,400, 1,500, 600, and gradually, it reached 900. Boom! Following a loud explosion, Lin Ling's soul exploded, turning into wisps of light that scattered like stars in the night sky, and then rushed into the ghost cave. Cracks began to appear on the ghost cave, and they grew bigger and bigger. Condense. After an unknown period of time, Lin Ling let out a low cry, and all the souls gathered. The ghost cave was completely shattered, and those mysterious black fragments drifted down like rain. At this time, above the ancient lake, cheers were still rising and falling. Lin Ling, the strongest monstrous genius in the history of the Radiant Academy, unfortunately, he had offended too many people, Dean Qin, Azure Dragon Manor, Sovereign Marquis, Grim Reaper, and even the left minister's disciple. He wanted to clear the name list, and he defeated one opponent after another like a hot knife through butter. Just when everyone thought he would successfully clear the name list, in the end, he lost to the left minister's disciple, and it was a complete defeat. However, no one thought that it was an accident. On the contrary, they thought it was normal. Left minister's disciple, not bad. A smile appeared on Lei Yin Mother's aged face. Left minister's disciple, come to my Azure Dragon Manor. In the Four-Ring City, you're half a king. The Azure Dragon King seemed to be in a good mood, however, you have to hand over Lin Ling's soul to me. It's just a small matter. Beside the ancient lake, the left minister's disciple nodded his head, and his heart leaped with joy. The Azure Dragon King had reached an agreement with him to help his Ghost Cave clan regain their former glory, and what he needed to do was to defeat Lin Ling. This was also the reason why he let Lin Ling go last time. And now, he had done it. He could even see himself becoming the hero of the Ghost Cave clan. The glory of this moment belonged to him. Lin Ling, not bad at all. You made a very beautiful wedding dress for me. Lin Ling, you killed my June, her. Tell me, how should I torture your soul? The gaze of the Azure Dragon King landed on the body of Lin Ling in the sky. That was the soulless Lin Ling. He licked his lips, and his words caused many people to tremble in fear. I will tear your soul apart every day, then let you recover. This will continue for 10,000 years. At that time, such a method could be said to be worse than death, because torturing the soul was even more painful than torturing the body. However, the Azure Dragon King's voice was cold at the start. Gradually, his voice became softer and softer. In fact, before he could finish his last sentence, he had already stopped talking. Instead, he looked at the young man in the sky in disbelief. His face was filled with horror. Because he seemed to have seen the young man move. That's a good idea, but we'll talk about it after you've obtained my soul. At this moment, an indifferent voice finally rang out. Lin Ling, who had been standing silently in the air, moved. This move was earth-shattering. At this moment, the originally noisy ancient lake was completely silent. As for the left minister's disciple, he stopped beside the ancient lake. His expression kept changing, and he even thought that he was dreaming. However, when he quietly turned around, he saw that the blue-robed young man had already shot over. All of this told him that Lin Ling was indeed not dead. How is this possible? You can't possibly escape from my ghost cave. The left minister's disciple shouted. Frog in the well, do you think that your soul force is the strongest? You've really disappointed me. If I had known earlier, I would have killed you in the disciple's residence. Billowing killing intent came out of Lin Ling's mouth. In the past, the left minister's disciple had captured Yu and almost caused Yu to die. At that time, he had sworn that the left minister's disciple would definitely die. This battle has been full of twists and turns. Looking at Lin Ling's resurrection, everyone was shocked. Most importantly, they realized that the resurrected Lin Ling did not stay for long. He actually took the initiative to attack. Once he attacked, the battle became even more intense. What a lucky guy. However, you didn't escape from my soul force. Do you think that you won't die? Human Escape Book. Suppressing the shock in his heart, the left minister's disciple took out a book and shouted coldly. At this moment, he did not have time to think about how Lin Ling was able to escape from his ghost cave. However, he must kill Lin Ling. Moreover, when he activated his innate talent, he continued to walk towards the ancient lake. The left minister's disciple is so confident. Could it be that he is going to win when he walks out of the ancient lake? Looking at the left minister's disciple who was reading the book with his left hand and walking without stopping, many people exclaimed. Rumble. At this moment, the heavenly book in the ancient lake bloomed. It was as if a volcano had erupted above the ancient lake. The terrifying flames from the heavenly book were extremely dazzling. Divine Body, Heavenly Book Fire, this guy has obtained the 16 Yin-Yang Human Escape Book. Looking at the rolling flames, some ancient martial artists exclaimed. The 16 Yin-Yang Universe Tao books, this ancient book was said to be formed from a page of the heavenly book. This page of the heavenly book could activate the power of the universe. The flames were as powerful as the divine body. Rumor has it that if one could gather all 16 pages of the heavenly book, they could seize the Tao of Yin and Yang in the universe. At this moment, Lin Ling was still rushing towards the left minister's disciple. Without a doubt, he would be engulfed by the volcano. Earth Escape Book. However, the left minister's disciple continued to move forward and opened a new page in his hand. Rumble. The clouds in the sky were separated and a primal chaos appeared. Many realms turned into meteors and flew out from the primal chaos. They dazzlingly streaked across the sky and smashed into the ancient lake with long tails. This scene was like the end of the world. This Earth Escape Book could summon a world. Terrifying. Heaven Escape Book. However, this was not the end of it. The left minister's disciple opened a new page. Kacha. Divine lightning fell from the sky. It was hundreds of feet long and constantly struck the earth. It was like the lightning of an ancient immortal's tribulation, sweeping through the ancient lake. The Heaven, Earth, and Man Escape Book. This was the power of the left minister's disciple. Dong dong. The heaven, earth, and man tribulations descended. The earth was overturned and countless martial artists were sent flying. Those who were too slow were directly blasted to death. Not even their bones were left behind. This is the existence of the fifth on the heaven leap list. He's simply invincible. Hurry and dodge. Those meteors are not something that anyone can block. At the side of the Great Cloud Lake, a large number of martial artists were flying away. The meteors and unbridled divine lightning from the sky would turn anyone below the true immortal realm into ashes. This was also a calamity that could destroy the world. Even the strongest people on the heaven leap list had serious expressions. The left minister's disciples' summoning power was too terrifying. Especially the Earth Escape Book. He actually used a world to smash Lin Ling. They even saw that there were many mortals mixed in with the meteors that were crashing down. Because every single one of those meteors represented a world, and those mortals had no idea that their world had been completely destroyed. Chapter 27:35. Fight for Dignity. Pa. Almost at the same time, the left prime minister's disciple closed the book and walked towards the ancient lake. His steps were like a song of victory. However, at this moment, no one thought that he was arrogant. Instead, they admired his courage. This was because the left prime minister's disciple did not plan to fight. Instead, he chose to kill Lin Ling directly. Sixth level of true God. Among 1,000,000 people, no more than 10 can block my heaven, earth, and man escape book. A calm voice came from the left prime minister's disciple. He was absolutely confident. As for Lin Ling, he was only a 4th level of true God. Sorry, I am an exception. But at this moment, an icy voice suddenly sounded out from the ancient lake. Beneath the 3 tribulations of heaven, earth, man, and thunder world flame, a figure shot out like a mad god. Surging multicolored flames bloomed from his body. A giant heart, a mysterious flame coffin, it was like an ancient song. Along the way, the flames of the escape books of the people he met were directly pierced through by him. The meteors that fell from the sky directly exploded when they landed on his body. As for the baptism of thunder, it couldn't stop him at all. Looking at the figure, the left prime minister's disciple's pupils trembled violently. He was about to step out of the ancient lake when he stopped. Because, that was Lin Ling. He also realized that the figure that shot over was very scary. The sharp aura of the figure landed on his body like a sword, causing him to feel pain all over his body. He knew that Lin Ling still had some tricks up his sleeves. Of course, he was not the only one who was shocked. Even the people beside the ancient lake were shocked. Lin Ling, did he not have a limit? Strong, this was true strength. Almost at the same time, a sword appeared in the sky. The power of the sword heart gushed out. 5 colored flames covered the sword and the youth holding the sword shot towards the left prime minister's disciple like a meteor. At this moment, Lin Ling had merged his 2 dantians. His Jia Yuan had reached the 6th level of true God. He had also activated the evil flame change, Qian Kun change. His speed had reached the speed of 5 realms and his Jia Yuan had reached the 7th level of true God. In addition to the powerful defense of the realm-swallowing beast's godly body and the sharp sword heart power of the Shura sword formation. It could be said that right now, Lin Ling had released 90% of his strength. No matter how powerful the methods of the left minister's disciples were, Lin Ling only needed to use brute force to break through the enemy. Up till now on the sky surpassing list, this was also the first time that Lin Ling had made a name for himself. Of the strongest generation, who else could it be but him? A ferocious aura pressed down, causing the left minister's disciple to take a step back. The long hair at the side of his face was cut off by the sharp sword heart. He looked ahead in a daze. Not long ago, Lin Ling had destroyed his disciple's residence. He had endured the humiliation and wanted to kill Lin Ling on the day of the rankings. He wanted to let Lin Ling know how lucky Lin Ling was that day. However, on that day, Lin Ling also told him that he was lucky. Otherwise, Lin Ling would have killed him that day. At that time, he only wanted to laugh at Lin Ling's ignorance. But now, he could no longer laugh. Because, the one who had escaped was him, not Lin Ling. Shua! An unparalleled sword slashed out with all his strength. The cold gleaming ancient sword grew bigger in the eyes of the left minister's disciple. It was getting closer and closer. He wanted to resist, but he did not know what to use to resist. He could only feel helpless. Humbly speaking, killing you is like slaughtering a dog. However, his helplessness could not stop the sword from slashing down. The Ghost Cave clan will never be destroyed. The left minister's disciple let out a roar. The pride of the Ghost Cave should have risen today. Unfortunately, it had completely declined. Boom! Under the sword, the left minister's disciple was not killed, but exploded. His flesh and blood blossomed like fireworks. He even died at the side of the ancient lake. Just one more step and he would have proudly left the ancient lake. Everyone's hearts were trembling. This battle of a village at the end of the tunnel was really hard to fathom. A moment earlier, the left minister's disciple only needed to take one more step and he would have won. However, that step was very far away, a step between life and death. It was also a step that the left minister's disciple would never be able to take in his entire life. Lin Ling, you're courting death! Exclamation point. Watching the left minister's disciple being defeated, the Azure Dragon King let out an earth-shattering roar. He was clearly enraged. If looks could kill, Lin Ling would have been cut into 1,000 pieces. Because the left minister's disciple's talent and strength were not bad. To be able to be recruited by the Azure Dragon Manor had gained a lot. But now, such a monstrous genius was killed. And the murderer was the person who killed his son. Next battle! Exclamation point. However, above the ancient lake, Lin Ling did not even look at the Azure Dragon King, arrogantly speaking. Crimson scales, 5 colored flames, as if he was looking down on the world. Next battle, second place Dongfang Yishuan. Exclamation point. The mysterious referee immediately made a sound. His voice was laced with anxiety. Clearly, he had also sensed the great pressure. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect Lin Ling to advance to the 8th battle like a hot knife through butter. Moreover, the previous battles were so intense that even he was moved. However, so many powerful geniuses, so many heaven-defying geniuses, none of them could stop Lin Ling alone. Therefore, in order to completely defeat Lin Ling, he had to speed up the battle's rhythm. Dongfang Yishuan. When the judge's voice sounded, the Radiant Academy's side exclaimed in shock, followed by loud cheers. Because he was the Radiant Academy's #1 disciple. And because this Dongfang Yishuan was already an elder of the Radiant Academy, his status was even higher than Ancestor Dragon Granny and the others. This was a true formidable opponent, an expert who had once been to the 5-Ring City. Yishuan, the Radiant Academy's honor will fall on your shoulders. Dean Qin said with a solemn expression. At this moment, she no longer dared to underestimate Lin Ling. She even felt a sense of panic. Lin Ling, who had only a 10% chance of clearing the rankings, now had an 80% or even 90% chance of clearing the rankings. If Dongfang Yishuan couldn't stop Lin Ling, then she, Dean Qin, would lose her prestige. This was because the Radiant Academy's mission was to nurture geniuses. However, as the dean, she actually chased away the most monstrous genius. This violated the Radiant Academy's principles, and others would laugh at her. In fact, all the geniuses of the Radiant Academy were extremely nervous. This battle is between Lin Ling and the Radiant Academy. The two deans of the Heavenly Saint Academy and Sangling Academy said indifferently and sighed. Lin Ling had been underestimated. He had suffered unequal treatment. Now, Lin Ling was also fighting for his dignity. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. You are the king of the Radiant Academy? On the ancient lake, Lin Ling looked indifferently at the newcomer. What was surprising was that the newcomer's appearance was very ordinary, like a piece of unpolished jade. However, he knew that if such an unpolished jade were to blossom, it would definitely alarm the 9 prefectures. Dongfang Yishuan's body moved and mysteriously appeared on the ancient lake. He looked at Lin Ling with vigilance. He didn't dare to underestimate Lin Ling. This was because the gap in strength between the top 5 geniuses wasn't that big. Even if he were to fight the left minister's disciple, he only had a 60% chance of winning. Moreover, it depended on the time, place, and people. Chapter 2736. The Strongest Strength. However, he represented the Resplendent Academy. He couldn't lose this battle. The Resplendent Academy couldn't lose its dignity. You shouldn't fight with the Resplendent Academy. The influence of a single person is very weak. You will never be able to shake the ancient academy. Dongfang Yishuan slowly said, you should lower your head to the Resplendent Academy and even admit your mistake. Dean Qin will give you a way out on account of your strength. Are you pleading for Dean Qin? If that's the case, then don't waste your breath. Hearing this, Lin Ling sneered. He didn't do anything wrong. Why should he admit his mistake? I can understand your feelings. However, once you make a choice, you will have to pay an unbearable price. You will regret it. In the future, you will realize that if you didn't act so impulsively, your future would be much brighter. Dongfang Yishuan said again. He had experienced it before, so he had the qualifications to say this. Thank you for your reminder. However, no matter what choice I, Lin Ling, make, I will never regret it. Even if I offend the Azure Emperor, even if I die tomorrow, I will still hold tightly onto the 3 things that I have to fight for. Lin Ling shook his head and said word by word. His words were stubborn and resolute. This battle isn't to prove how powerful I am. I just want to tell the Resplendent Academy that I, Lin Ling, have lost my dignity there. I will take it back with my own hands. If 3 years isn't enough, then 300 years. If 300 years isn't enough, then 3,000 years, or even an entire lifetime. Following Lin Ling's last sentence, the surging flames erupted. Half of the sky above the ancient lake turned into a sea of fire. After losing your dignity, you have to take it back with your own hands. Everyone's heart was pounding. Perhaps Lin Ling was too impulsive, but Lin Ling's words represented the hearts of all the cultivators. Take a step back and the world will be wide open. Take a step forward and you will be consigned to eternal damnation. Perhaps some people would take a step back for the sake of the boundless sky, but they were unwilling and sullen in their hearts. Lin Ling gave up the boundless sky and continued to seek eternal damnation, all for the sake of fighting for 3 breaths of justice. This kind of martial artist was worthy of respect. Of course, he also had to bear the brunt of the storm. Dongfang Yishuan, defeat him. Hearing Lin Ling's firm words, Dean Qin clenched his fists tightly. His palms were filled with sweat. How many years had it been? She had weathered countless storms, but this was the first time she was so nervous. Dongfang Yishuan's eyes were also extremely cold. To be honest, he really liked Lin Ling's character because Lin Ling was also his old self. Unfortunately, he finally took a step back and obediently listened to Dean Qin's words. Although this made him lose his dignity, it also made him stronger. Therefore, he had no regrets. He even wanted to prove that his choice was not wrong. Therefore, he wanted to kill Lin Ling. He will win. In a corner of Great Cloud Mountain, Yu and the rest also clenched their fists. Lin Ling had prepared a lot for this day. He should not be let down. Lin Ling, you must win. Prove to us that not everyone can give up many things for the sake of becoming stronger. You must stick to the principles in your heart. You are definitely not a failure. Meng Lu muttered to himself. At this moment, he seemed to be more familiar with Lin Ling. This was a martial artist who became strong for his beliefs. Not a martial artist who became strong for the sake of becoming stronger. Fight! Fight! Dongfang Yishuan was the first to erupt with a surging aura. He knew that Lin Ling was very strong, so he also activated his true God martial soul. And his talent was a second-grade divine body. Court of the Gods. Rolling waves and colorful divine water also appeared, enveloping Dongfang Yishuan within. With this powerful talent, it proved that he was not weaker than the left minister's disciple. It was just that their fields of expertise were different. What a terrifying aura. This Dongfang Yishuan is at the 6th stage of True God realm, but his strength is probably unrivaled in the 6th stage of True God realm. Boom! Lin Ling is not weak either. The strongest generation of their resplendent academy is clashing. I wonder who is more powerful. Boom! From the surface, Lin Ling seems to be more skilled. After all, his previous sword gave me the feeling that even a 7th stage of True God realm would not dare to easily receive it. Boom! Everyone's blood was boiling. They did not even blink, afraid that they would miss this wonderful scene. Above the ancient lake, half of the sky was flames, and the other half was divine water. This was like the battle between the fire god and the water god in the ancient era. 10,000 waters, under my control. Boom! At this moment, Dongfang Yishuan let out a roar. He opened his hands, and a terrifying thing happened. Because the water of Great Cloud Lake was under his control. One must know that the water of Great Cloud Lake was the water of the universe. A drop of it was as heavy as a world, but such a mysterious object was actually under Dongfang Yishuan's control. In this way, Dongfang Yishuan's chances of victory were greatly increased. Dongfang Yishuan did not use any martial arts. Because he knew that rank 4 and even rank 5 martial arts were useless against Lin Ling. He urged the water of Great Cloud Lake to turn into a fire dragon, and rushed towards Lin Ling. The void suddenly exploded. This was his strongest move, and also his only trump card to defeat Lin Ling. Because he had the advantage of the terrain. However, at this moment, Lin Ling was calmly floating in the sky. He even found that after using the evil flame change, this was the first time he was so calm. It was as if his heart was as calm as water. The side effects of the evil flame god seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. This should be the reason why his soul force had greatly increased. Flame coffin. Flame coffin. Still ignoring the fire dragon, Lin Ling muttered to himself. The flames suddenly exploded, rolling and rolling, submerging him and burning him. Then, a huge coffin appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The coffin was silent, and a huge heart was beating in the sky, giving people a strong sense of pressure. Boom! Suddenly, the coffin lid flew open, and then a charming figure walked out. His footsteps weren't quick, but every single move he made carried an imposing aura that could devour mountains and rivers. Moreover, this imposing aura shot into the sky, and it actually caused the sky to dim down. Evil flame change, 5th change, firmament change. At this moment, Lin Ling's strength had reached the 8th stage of True God. This was also the full extent of his strength. At the same time, the terrifying White Lake Water Dragon rushed over, but Lin Ling was as still as a mountain. The realm-swallowing beast also descended behind him, and the two talents had completely merged. He stretched out a hand, and flames spewed out, spiraling like a storm, and turned into a fire dragon rushing forward. Rumble. A deafening sound rang out, and the two dragons of water and fire exploded. However, the flames continued to burn in the sky. Looking at the water dragon, it had been completely burned away. With the strength of an 8th-stage world king, in addition to the powerful defense of the realm-swallowing beast, Lin Ling easily blocked Dongfang Yishuan's water-controlling technique. Even though he had a second-grade divine body, it could not block the gap between realms. Moreover, Lin Ling's realm was the most solid. This is Lin Ling's strongest strength. Boom! The great cloud mountain shook once again. Everyone's jaws dropped. Lin Ling could still become stronger. Was there no limit to his power? Even the strongest generation on the heavenly transcendence list had all stood up and their bodies were trembling non-stop. Chapter 2737. Who would withdraw from the academy in the past? No wonder Lin Ling dared to clear the rankings. The previous battle was just a warm-up. This was the real strongest Lin Ling. The current Lin Ling was even more ferocious than when he fought the left minister's student. Yishuan's pupils constricted. He had used all his strength and borrowed the power of the ancient lake, but he still couldn't shake Lin Ling. Lin Ling, where did the surging power of the world essence in his body come from? Kill! Roar! With a roar, Yishuan once again used all his strength and pounced towards Lin Ling. His palm had already turned into a white water dragon. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. Looking at the white water dragon, he ruthlessly slashed out. The turbulent realm energy fused with the sword heart, splitting the terrifying white water dragon into two. Lin Ling stepped forward, flames billowing, as if he was an evil charm to the world. You won't be able to defeat me. You gave up on your principles and became stronger for the sake of becoming stronger. You have already lost the will to win. You seem to be fighting for the dignity of the Resplendent Academy, but in reality, you are nothing more than a lowly dog. Where is your dignity? To me, you are nothing more than an ant. Roar! The contemptuous voice caused Yishuan's body to tremble. He was the king of the Resplendent Academy. His talent, his strength, and his reputation were all things that everyone had to look up to. Today, he represented the Resplendent Academy in this battle and carried the hopes of many people. However, in front of the man in front of him, he was just a lowly dog. He was just an ant. He didn't believe it. He didn't want to admit it. If he admitted it, then the Resplendent Academy would also be an ant without any dignity. However, although he didn't want to admit it, he had already admitted it in his heart. The current Lin Ling was indeed too terrifying. He was actually a flawless genius from every angle. Yishuan Dongfang, don't forget the Academy's nurturing. At this time, Dean Qin sternly shouted. Her eyes were red because the disciple she was most proud of was actually afraid of Lin Ling. This also showed who was the strongest of the Resplendent Academy's generation. The voice caused Yishuan Dongfang's eyes to turn red. He used his strongest attack. He didn't believe that Lin Ling was really so strong. The entire lake was under his control. It surged and flooded the sky. Puff! After controlling the lake, Yishuan Dongfang spat out a mouthful of blood. Controlling the lake's water had exceeded his limit. However, he looked at the sky as if the heavenly river was flowing backwards. He couldn't help but excitedly shout, I won. In his opinion, the water of the entire ancient lake was definitely enough to kill Lin Ling. How pitiful, it didn't even hurt a hair of my hair. However, as soon as his voice rang Yishuan the sky. In the middle of the heavenly river that was crashing down, a man was faintly discernible. With the speed of 6 worlds, he easily dodged the water of the ancient lake. His Xian. 6x. Xian Academy to perhaps only those exceptional talents, and even green provinces and 9 great heavens had this type of speed. This meant that Lin Ling had instantly crossed through 6 realms. Even though the ancient lake was powerful, it couldn't touch Lin Ling, so what was the use of it? I've said it before, you're just an ant in front of me. The faintly discernible voice, mixed with a thick sense of disdain, still rang out. I'm just an ant. Dongfang Yishuan was in a daze as he floated in the sky. His fighting spirit, had been pushed into the abyss at this moment. He no longer had the heart to fight. This was because he did not have the soul power of the left minister's disciple. Facing the 6 realms speed, he could not catch up to Lin Ling and could not harm Lin Ling at all. If Lin Ling wanted to defeat him, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. The hearts of the spectators trembled. Dongfang Yishuan, the king of Resplendent Academy, had the mandate of heaven. However, in front of Lin Ling, he had no power to fight back and was completely suppressed. Moreover, Lin Ling was clearly attacking Dongfang Yishuan, making all of Dongfang Yishuan's methods useless. Moreover, his words made Dongfang Yishuan feel that he was very lowly, like an ant. This was also attacking Resplendent Academy. In the past, who would withdraw from the academy? Dongfang Yishuan, you can still fight, don't give up on yourself. At this time, Din Qin almost rushed into the ancient lake. She ferociously roared, but her face was getting paler and paler. However, Dongfang Yishuan stood motionless in the sky. At this moment, he did not listen to Din Qin's words. Lin Ling walked forward and walked towards Dongfang Yishuan. His right hand reached out and easily grabbed Dongfang Yishuan's neck. Then, he walked towards the ancient lake and indifferently looked at Din Qin. Din Qin, I'll ask you 3 questions. First, is this the symbol of your Resplendent Academy? And the disciple you're most proud of? Lin Ling's voice was very calm. There was no arrogance in it, but there was a thick sense of sarcasm. Din Qin stared at Lin Ling. Her heart was in chaos. If Dongfang Yishuan represented the pride of Resplendent Academy, then what about this pride? It was like a dead dog. As for the geniuses of Resplendent Academy, their faces were pale. They were so humiliated that they had nothing to say. Since you don't want to answer, then I'll ask the second question. May I ask, was it me who withdrew from the academy that day, or was it Resplendent Academy who abandoned me? Lin Ling asked again. These words made Din Qin's heart ache. Who was the one who withdrew? Did Din Qin dare to answer? Everyone's eyes were bright. If Lin Ling was trash, then Resplendent Academy would look down on Lin Ling and abandon Lin Ling. Everyone agreed with this statement. However, Lin Ling was trash. Since you don't want to answer, then I'll ask you one last question. You once said that after leaving Resplendent Academy, I would definitely decline. Is that true now? Lin Ling's voice turned cold at the last question. Din Qin opened her mouth wide. She wanted to say something, but nothing came out. At this moment, not only did she feel embarrassed, but she also felt a deep sense of regret. She thought that after Lin Ling left Resplendent Academy, he would definitely decline and return with his tail between his legs to admit his mistakes. However, the result before her eyes was completely different from what she had expected. After leaving Resplendent Academy, Lin Ling had become stronger and stronger. This meant that Lin Ling didn't need Resplendent Academy. She, Din Qin, had thought too much. Moreover, she suddenly thought of something. What if she put down her face and took the initiative to shake hands with Lin Ling? Without a doubt, the most dazzling thing today was Resplendent Academy. In fact, this was also the moment when Resplendent Academy broke the record of Azure Province. The moment this thought appeared, Din Qin's mind seemed to have been struck by lightning. Her face turned even paler. Perhaps she was wrong. She was wrong from the beginning. As a dean, relying on her status and strength to intimidate the disciples would only have a short-term effect. Moreover, if she met a genius whose arrogance reached the clouds, the effect would be the opposite. However, if she relied on protection and nurturing, then today's situation wouldn't have happened. Chapter 27:38. One move to determine victory. This also explained why falling flowers, flowing water, and the others were willing to risk their lives for Lin Ling. Various thoughts flashed through Dean Qin's mind. Suddenly, she looked at Lin Ling and said, "Lin Ling, the Resplendent Academy has indeed treated you unfairly in the past." Before she could finish, the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy knew that Dean Qin had admitted her mistake. She wanted to take the initiative to ask Lin Ling to return. However, no one was surprised by this decision because missing out on Lin Ling was equivalent to missing out on the glorious future of the Resplendent Academy. The Resplendent Academy would no longer be resplendent. "I've already withdrawn." However, before Dean Qin could finish her words, Lin Ling interrupted her. Dean Qin's jaw dropped. There were thousands of words in her mind, but she couldn't say them. As for the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy, they were speechless for a long time. "Dongfang Yishuan, you are a pitiful person. You thought that by giving up your dignity, you would be able to become stronger, and you would be able to occupy the position of king of the academy. However, the day you gave up your dignity, you also lost the heart of a martial artist." Ignoring Dean Qin, Lin Ling shook his head and looked at Dongfang Yishuan in his hand. "You, kill me." Dongfang Yishuan raised his head and said dispiritedly. "Even if I don't kill you, you're already dead." Lin Ling faintly said. After which, he waved his right hand and threw Dongfang Yishuan to Dean Qin. Dean Qin also caught him. Her gaze was complicated as she looked at the disciple she was the proudest of in her hands. After which, she looked at the young man in the ancient lake. At this moment, she understood that Lin Ling was the proudest existence of the Resplendent Academy. Sigh. Dean Qin sighed and left the ancient lake with Dongfang Yishuan. "Lin Ling, you did it." Looking at Dean Qin's complicated expression, Ancestor Dragon, Vice Dean Gong, and the others couldn't help but laugh. Lin Ling had proven himself. Although they already had an intuition about this scene, after witnessing it with their own eyes, the feeling was completely different. After all, not just anyone could make an overlord of the Qin prefecture feel remorse. "Brother Lin Ling, you've taken back your dignity. Just as you said, what you did was not to prove that you're stronger than the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy. Instead, you wanted to prove that even though you, Lin Ling, are a disciple, you still have your dignity." Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gu looked at each other. Their eyes were moist. They were proud of Lin Ling. Everyone on the Great Cloud Mountain was looking at Lin Ling. At the moment, they were no longer mocking or cursing him. Instead, they were filled with deep admiration. It was also because Lin Ling had entered the final battle, which was also the most anticipated battle. Grim Reaper. Number 1 on the Sky Surpass rankings, the ruler of the world. In the past, the Grim Reaper had once spread a rumor that he had fought with Lin Ling and that Lin Ling had suffered a crushing defeat. He was like a stray dog that didn't dare to face the Grim Reaper. Everyone firmly believed this rumor. But now, they were shaken. Lin Ling was so courageous. Was there anything he didn't dare to do? Lin Ling was so proud. Was he a stray dog? Lin Ling was just too disdainful to explain himself. He had erupted in silence and used his strength to explain everything. Final battle. "Come up, Grim Reaper." Before the referee announced his opponent, Lin Ling had already spoken. Under his voice, a surging aura erupted. Lin Ling raised his right hand and flames spread out from his body. Rings of flame constantly shrunk and turned into a huge fireball. From afar, it was as if a blazing sun had risen from an ancient lake. It was a ghastly sight. Flame Will, Lin Ling's strongest trump card. He has finally used it. Moreover, the battle hasn't even started and he's already using the flame wheel to welcome the Grim Reaper. Does he want to defeat the Grim Reaper in a straightforward manner? If he wins the final battle, he will set a new record in the Qin prefecture. Sensing the terrifying power of the flames, countless people were shocked. Grim Reaper, you once said that you defeated me. At that time, I didn't bother to explain. Let me tell you now. At that time, you were only tied with me. You didn't have any advantage. Perhaps you will say that you didn't use your full strength. Otherwise, I would have been defeated long ago. However, what I want to say is that things that haven't become reality are just rumors. Ignoring everyone's surprise, Lin Ling's gaze swept across Dayun Mountain. At this moment, he completely erupted with all his strength. If God blocked him, he would kill God. If Buddha blocked him, he would destroy Buddha. I want the first place on the heavenly crossing list. Who dares to compete with me? When Lin Ling's voice drifted out, even more people's blood boiled and their emotions surged. Admirable. This guy is indeed getting fiercer as he fights. So proud. Facing the Grim Reaper, he actually turned the tables. Perhaps, he can win. Excited voices began to spread throughout Dayun Mountain. Clearly, Lin Ling today had completely convinced the three academies. As for the Thunder Mother, the Azure Dragon King, and the Sovereign Marquis, their faces were cold. This result was also beyond their imagination. However, Lin Ling's final threshold was still there. The Grim Reaper would definitely be able to stop him. At this moment, the Grim Reaper sat quietly at the top of the heavenly crossing list. Behind him was the circle of reincarnation. His eyes were indifferently looking at Lin Ling. In fact, he was more surprised than anyone else. This was because he had fought with Lin Ling before. At that time, Lin Ling was not worth mentioning. If he hadn't underestimated his opponent, he would have killed Lin Ling long ago. However, in just 4 years, this ant had grown to such a height. From an unknown existence to crazily clearing the rankings, he had finally arrived in front of him. Lin Ling, I admit that I underestimated you. Bang! He took a step and finally appeared above the ancient lake. His long robe fluttered, and an invisible wave of air caused the clouds in the sky to ripple. His gaze was fixed on the flame wheel in Lin Ling's hand. That huge colorful fireball actually gave him a terrifying sense of oppression. He had a feeling that the fireball could kill a stage 6 true god. Moreover, it could kill any stage 6 true god. Do you plan to decide the victor in one move? The Grim Reaper asked. At our level of strength, do you think that a battle that drags out time is useful? Lin Ling smiled and said indifferently, moreover, if we continue to drag it out, new problems will arise. You should know that I get stronger the more I fight. Hearing that, the Grim Reaper fell silent. It was undeniable that Lin Ling's words made sense. The current Lin Ling wasn't a pushover. He was the monster ranked second in the heavenly crossing plate. Decide the victor in one move. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Indeed, if the battle were to drag on, it seemed to be beneficial to Lin Ling. After all, everyone saw that Lin Ling was crazily clearing the rankings. The more he fought, the fiercer he got. Hence, if the battle were to drag on to the end, Lin Ling might be invincible in the later stage of True God Realm. Chapter 2739. The Powerful Grim Reaper. You mean, if I block your last move, you will admit defeat? The Grim Reaper pondered for a moment before asking. If you block my last move, I will be exhausted. At that time, you can kill me as you wish. Even if you don't have the strength to kill me, I will still fail to clear the rankings. What awaits me will be a large number of experts. Lin Ling said straightforwardly. Alright, I will break this move of yours. The Grim Reaper took a deep breath. He didn't realize that he was nervous at all. This was a joke to him because he was waiting for Lin Ling to clear the rankings. However, Lin Ling was confident that he could win with this move. That meant that the flaming wheel would be terrifying. Hence, he only needed to destroy it before it was fully formed. Grim Reaper's reincarnation. A cold aura spread out silently. A figure from the underworld appeared. He held a scythe and floated behind the Grim Reaper. He had actually used his true god martial soul from the start. Furthermore, he didn't use any martial arts or sneak an attack on Lin Ling. This was because he knew that with Lin Ling's 6-realm speed, his sneak attack wouldn't be of much use. Woo woo woo. After the Grim Reaper from the underworld appeared, the underworld song continued to be sung. It was as though it was telling the ancient secrets of the universe. Around the Yun Mountain, a large number of experts started to weaken. Their vitality turned into an invisible whirlpool and was being crazily absorbed. As for the divine trees around the Yun Mountain, they started to wither. The surging energy was all being absorbed by the scythe. If there are no level 5 true gods, stay away immediately. All the geniuses of the Heavenly Saint Institute, come here. The experts around the Great Cloud Mountain immediately shouted. They gathered together and activated their world essence, forming a powerful protective barrier. Only then was they able to block the death god's terrifying samsara circle, and this was still because they were far away. It was hard to imagine what kind of pressure Lin Ling, who was facing the death god, was under. The Grim Reaper, as expected of the Grim Reaper. Without a level 5 true god realm expert, no one can stop it. This Grim Reaper seems to be a stage 6 true god, but I'm afraid his strength can defeat a large number of late true god realm ancient martial art practitioners. Once they were safe, many people cried out in alarm. The Grim Reaper was too terrifying. Previously, the left minister's student had triggered the 3 tribulations of heaven, earth, and man, slaughtering the earth. However, the death god was even more terrifying, because what he slaughtered were living beings. These strongest cultivators were indeed each more heaven-defying than the other. His death god's reincarnation came from the underworld. It contains powerful primal chaos force and has reached 90% ultimate nether force. It is said that this person is someone who escaped from the underworld and has the underworld study. In the past, the Great Azure Divine Dynasty also wanted to investigate his background, but they were stopped by the Sovereign Marquis. At this moment, in the distant mountain range, those prominent figures spoke with solemn expressions. Obviously, they had heard of the Grim Reaper. The people of the Netherworld clan are not accepted by the 9 states. I don't know what the Sovereign Marquis did to prevent the Great Azure Divine Dynasty from exterminating the people of the Netherworld clan. The child's eyes also flickered. The Grim Reaper's background was obviously not small. How about that little guy called Lin Ling? Can he defeat the Grim Reaper in one move? One of them frowned and said. He seemed to be a little uncertain. With the power of that fireball, it's a little difficult for him at the moment. The child said directly. Yes, with the strength that the people of the Netherworld clan unleashed, I'm afraid that not many people in the 7th level of True God realm can withstand it. The others nodded slightly. Of course, they also guessed that Lin Ling's flame wheel should not have reached its limit yet. At this moment, the water in the Great Cloud Lake had completely evaporated, revealing a giant crater. Above the giant crater, 2 figures faced each other from afar. Their invisible gazes collided, causing intense sparks to erupt. Lin Ling, your flame wheel is very powerful, but I think it's only a so-so. The Grim Reaper's rolling aura spread out. He took the initiative to attack, and under his voice, the true god martial soul held a scythe and drew words in the sky. The sky seemed to be cut open by scissors, and every stroke was so clear. Die. The word die, which was shining with cold light, began to spread across the entire sky, revealing its sharpness. Moreover, when the word die came out, the strongest generation on the heavenly surpass list were all frightened like cicadas in winter. As geniuses on the heavenly surpass list, they could not withstand a single move from the Grim Reaper. The attack power of the word die was extremely terrifying. The true God martial soul has been unsealed, and its battle power has doubled. Die. In the distant mountain range, the child said indifferently. This was the power of the first seal. It could be said that among the 7th level of true God realm, the Grim Reaper had few opponents. He could even kill a 8th level of true God realm. And this was the strongest generation that was ranked first on the heavenly surpass list. Crossing 2 levels to fight, and no matter if it was an ordinary 7th level of true God realm or a monstrous genius, the Grim Reaper could kill them all. And the fireball that Lin Ling displayed now was only able to kill any 6th level of true God realm. True God martial soul has been unsealed. Die. At this moment, Lin Ling was also muttering to himself. The Grim Reaper gave him a lot of pressure, and he was the only person that he was deeply afraid of. His divine body was not weaker than Lin Ling's. His cultivation level was higher than Lin Ling's. His ultimate martial Tao was also stronger than Lin Ling's. Even the true God martial soul had been unsealed. It could be said that the Grim Reaper was a genius that had no flaws in all aspects, and he was not weak in any field. Lin Ling's only advantage was his soul power and chaos divine formula. However, the shocking thing was not over yet. It's still not enough, it's time to explode with my full strength. The Grim Reaper seemed to have made a decision. Nirvana aura spread out from his body, displaying the strength of the strongest generation. 7th level of true God realm. As his aura climbed higher and higher, it finally caused the sky to explode, and stormy waves surged into the sky, surging with great momentum. The Grim Reaper hid his strength. Everyone was shocked. The Grim Reaper was actually a 7th level of true God realm. At this moment, the entire Great Cloud Mountain was dead silent. As he unleashed his full power, the word death that filled the sky became even larger. It was as if it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. A power that did not seem to originate from the chaos of the universe mightily enveloped the area. Boom! Great Cloud Lake suddenly exploded, and a huge word die appeared at the bottom of the lake that had been completely evaporated. Dust spread everywhere, and huge rocks rolled in the sky like straw. However, when they came into contact with the word die, they immediately turned into ashes. Moreover, under the Grim Reaper's full-strength explosion, those geniuses who were hiding under the protection of the experts were terrified. Because, those experts who were protecting them were actually unable to resist the Grim Reaper's power. The Grim Reaper's strength was probably invincible even in the 8th level of true God realm. How are we going to fight? Lin Ling's flame will can kill any 6th level of true God realm, and it can also defeat some 7th level of true God realm. However, the Grim Reaper can defeat 8th level of true God realm. I think Lin Ling's pace is about to stop. Chapter 2740. The flaming coffin descended. And at this moment, in the sky, Lin Ling's aura began to dim. Countless death characters began to envelop him, mixed with a terrifying aura, as if they wanted to swallow him whole. Lin Ling, your flame will isn't very strong for me. However, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I will kill you before your flame wheel is fully formed. Looking at Lin Ling, the Grim Reaper finally revealed a smile. I'm very happy that you can continuously defeat your opponents and display your strength time and time again. In the end, I have to treat you so seriously. However, I'm still the number 1 on the heavenly transcendence list. No matter how heaven-defying or monstrous you are, I'll always be a huge obstacle that you will never be able to overcome. Not very strong. Then why didn't you let me succeed? Could it be that you only know how to brag? And no matter what your background is, no matter if you are number 1 in Qingzhou or number 1 on the Tianhua list, you are the opponent that I, Lin Ling, must defeat. Lin Ling wasn't shaken by the word death around him. Instead, he enunciated each word clearly. At this point in the battle, there was no distinction between first and second place, only life and death. I'm looking forward to you defeating me, but you clearly don't have the strength to do so. I can tell you that the 9 prefectures are vast and boundless. A genius like you is like a carp crossing a river. It's just that your vision is narrow and you think you're a monstrous genius. Let me tell you what a true monstrous genius is. The god of death put his palms together as if opening a door of silence. The power that did not belong to the chaos of this universe was once again added to the word death around them. Power from the god of the underworld. At the same time, on the side of the great Azure divine dynasty, some ancient experts opened their eyes as if they had woken up after 10,000 years. This was because they sensed the power of the god of the underworld. And at this moment, above the great cloud lake, the word death had sealed Lin Ling in every direction. The fireball in Lin Ling's hand gradually dimmed, as if it would be swallowed up by the darkness. Lin Ling, you're still a little weak. Countless people shook their heads as they sensed the heaven-devouring aura. Lin Ling was already very proud, but unfortunately, when facing the Grim Reaper, his cultivation time, martial arts foundation, and cultivation realm were all a bit weaker. However, Lin Ling's expression remained calm despite being enveloped by the word death. He didn't refute the Grim Reaper's words because he had traveled all over the 9 continents in the past and had seen all kinds of geniuses. Lin Ling also knew that the Grim Reaper wasn't someone from the myriad realms, nor was he a martial artist from the Azure State. He came from another world called the Underworld. The so-called Underworld was said to be the divine land of hell. Even Li Xiaoyao had never been to that place. Flame coffin. Lin Ling finally let out a low roar as the word death spread towards him, causing the flame wheel to reach its peak power. Pa pa pa. Billowing flames erupted. Through the large number of death characters, one could see that the young man in the sky was holding a fireball that was beginning to mutate. Bang bang bang. The first thing that appeared was the mysterious sound of a heartbeat. Then, the raging flames began to roll like a storm, gradually turning from a circular shape to a square shape. A huge flame coffin quietly descended. Lin Ling has also hidden his ultimate move. His flame wheel has transformed into a flame coffin. Could it be that Lin Ling has used his true god martial spirit? That must be it. Lin Ling's fighting strength is already terrifying, but he can still summon an even stronger power. This must be the power of his true god martial spirit. Talent, martial arts, true god martial spirit, cultivation realm, these 2 are the kings of their generation. Many people exclaimed. Such an exciting battle didn't seem like a battle between 2 juniors. Instead, it seemed like a battle between the heroes of the Azure State. True god martial spirit. Even the Grim Reaper's expression changed slightly. Although he didn't know how strong the mutated flame wheel would be, he could see that it would take some time for it to completely take shape. This period of time was enough for him to defeat Lin Ling. Therefore, the moment to decide the outcome had arrived. Boom! 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 The word death was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling. However, the flame coffin in Lin Ling's hand continued to grow, as if it wanted to block the Grim Reaper's attack. However, it was obvious that the Grim Reaper's attack was stronger. It completely affected Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling to frown. He had condensed all his boundary essence into the flame wheel, which made it difficult for him to block the Grim Reaper's attack. As for the new flame wheel, it could be said to be the strongest flame wheel. The boundary essence of the 2 Dantians had fused together, reaching the 6th stage of true god realm. In addition to the heavenly dome change, the flame god's heart and the flame wheel's ultimate power. If the flame wheel was completely formed, there would be a 70% chance of killing the Grim Reaper. The problem was that the Grim Reaper didn't seem to want the flame wheel to be completely formed. In fact, people also noticed this point. Currently, Lin Ling only had 2 choices. 1. give up on the flame wheel and use the 6 realms speed to escape from the Grim Reaper's pursuit. However, if he did that, he would lose. 2. Take a gamble and continue to condense the flame wheel. Lin Ling will definitely choose to fight to the death, and he will definitely lose. Lin Ling is really a terrifying junior. If he doesn't die, I won't be able to sleep at night. We must kill him. Staring at the scene, Thunderclap Mother, Azure Dragon King, Sovereign Marquis, and other experts said coldly. Now, they didn't realize that they were also very nervous. Obviously, Lin Ling's display of strength time and time again made them have a strong fear of Lin Ling. Time was like sand in one's hands. The 2 strongest generations didn't seem to have collided, but in fact, they had already started an intense battle. I've underestimated him. Boom! Being surrounded by the surging energy of the underworld, Lin Ling's eyes kept flickering. He thought that the Death God was at the 6th stage of True God Realm, but who knew that fate was so mysterious? The Death God was at the 7th stage of True God Realm. Although he was only 1 stage stronger than before, to a monstrous genius, 1 stage could increase his strength by several folds. Flame, explode! Flame! Lin Ling shouted again, and the huge flame coffin slowly expanded. However, the mysterious underworld energy outside the flame coffin only paused for a moment, and then fiercely pressed down again, wanting to burn Lin Ling in the word death. Puff! Lin Ling spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt an invisible force seal on his body, making him lifeless. If it wasn't for his strong godly demon body, his body would have been shattered, not to mention activating the flame coffin. Bang! But even so, he couldn't resist the underworld energy. In just a moment, he knelt down on one knee in the sky. Lin Ling is finally weak. Sigh. That scene made everyone shake their heads and sigh. Lin Ling fought 10 battles in a row. Except for the first 2 battles, he became fiercer and fiercer as he fought, giving people the feeling that he had no limit. But now, he was finally weak. This was the first time Lin Ling showed signs of defeat after the battle with the left minister's disciple. Lin Ling, don't lose. Yes. Seeing this, Meng Lu secretly clenched his fists. His palm was pierced by his nails, but he didn't feel it. Because the battle in the sky was something he needed to look up at. He was one of the 9 prefecture's 10 evils, and now he couldn't appear on the most dazzling stage. Instead, he had to look up from below the stage. This was painful for him. Chapter 2741. A sudden change occurred. Brother Ling, just one more step, don't give up. Yu Yu and the others also shouted towards the sky. They were just 1 step away from defeating the Grim Reaper. Lin Ling would live up to his name. Therefore, Lin Ling must persevere. All of you, shut up. Do not interfere with the battle. However, the mysterious judge immediately shouted angrily. Yu Yu and the others looked at the sky angrily. That judge was so hateful. Lin Ling, you're already tired. But Grim Reaper didn't care about what everyone thought. He smiled because he saw that Lin Ling couldn't block his attack. It's been 3 years. When Queen Qianji left, I knew that I had to become stronger. I had to protect everything. In these 3 years, I didn't care about people's mockery. I cultivated in silence because I knew that only strength could change everything. 3 years later, I broke out in silence, but I also saw a more ruthless world and stronger warriors. I closed up and cultivated for another year to make a comeback. So, how can I fall here? At this moment, a voice suddenly drifted out like a gust of wind. People saw Lin Ling grit his teeth and stubbornly stand up with great difficulty. What was even more terrifying was that even though he had fallen, his right hand was still holding onto the huge flame coffin. Clearly, Lin Ling had never intended to give up. Heaven and earth are not benevolent. They treat all living things like dogs. You can't do whatever you want. The Grim Reaper mocked. Lin Ling was even more tenacious than he had imagined. I, Lin Ling, am undisciplined and out of control. I do as I please. How could the heavens stop me? Lin Ling's voice represented his heart of martial arts. At this moment, the flame coffin in his right hand had finally taken shape. The rolling coffin seemed to seal an ancient flame god. Of course, this was only the transformation of the fireball into the flame coffin. The strongest flame coffin was still brewing. Crackle. Even so, the raging flames prevented the word death from advancing any further. What? This scene shocked everyone. Lin Ling relied on his willpower to block the Grim Reaper's attack. Bastard! Even the Grim Reaper cursed. Lin Ling, a stage 4 true god, blocked an attack that could kill an stage 8 true god. This was too terrifying. Moreover, Lin Ling risked his life to activate the flame coffin. Could it be that the flame coffin had the power to kill him? At this moment, the Grim Reaper panicked. Is this guy really going to clear the ranking? Of course, not only was the Grim Reaper panicking, even the Thunder Mother and the others stood up one after another. The change in the situation made them very nervous. Was this still an ant in their eyes? At this moment, the multicolored coffins were emitting a scorching heat that roasted the earth and the sky like a furnace. This made everyone realize that the dawn of victory had descended upon Lin Ling. From a nameless existence, he had fought 10 battles in a row and finally cleared the rankings. Lin Ling had indeed exploded in silence. Grim Reaper, I have been preparing this move for 4 years. Lin Ling said coldly to the Grim Reaper, ignoring the underworld energy around him. His expression was ferocious. This move would determine the outcome of the battle, and it was of great significance. Not only was it the time for Lin Ling to clear the ranking, but it was also the time for him to surpass the Grim Reaper. Most importantly, it was the key for him to become stronger. That day, when Queen Qianji left, Lin Ling seemed to be calm. However, he was suppressing the anger in his heart. He had been practicing martial arts all his life to protect his family and friends. That day, he was being protected. Therefore, if he couldn't defeat the Grim Reaper, how could he defeat the Sovereign Marquis? However, the scales of victory were beginning to tip in Lin Ling's favor. On the path of martial arts, Lin Ling had clearly taken another step forward. The Grim Reaper's face turned pale. He stared at the flame coffin as if he was afraid that the flames would bring him into the coffin. Was he going to lose? At that moment, he even wanted to admit defeat and escape from the ancient lake. However, just when everyone thought that the outcome was certain, something strange happened. Lin Ling seemed to have undergone some changes. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura, which was rising steadily, suddenly weakened. Damn it! Everyone heard Lin Ling's unwilling voice. What's going on? At that moment, everyone's eyes widened. A drastic change occurred in the sky. The word death, which contained the underworld energy, paused for a moment before rushing towards Lin Ling, sealing everything. This sudden turn of events caused the entire Great Cloud Mountain to fall silent. Lin Ling seemed to be too proud. Ha, good, good, good. The Grim Reaper was stunned. He immediately laughed maniacally. Lin Ling's flame coffin couldn't be completed. He must have done something that angered the heavens and caused him to fail at the crucial moment. How could this be? Is there a flaw in his flame wheel? At the edge of Dayun Mountain, Qi Yuhu's eyes instantly turned red. It shouldn't be because I feel that the terrifying flame coffin is still terrifying. I'm guessing that his old injury has flared up. Beside him, Lord Eighth also said nervously. Old injury? Qi Yuhu's face was immediately filled with worry. Moreover, he believed Lord Eighth's words. Since the end of the 3rd stage, Lin Ling had swept through the heavenly surpass rankings. If his opponent was weak, then Lin Ling might be fine. However, his opponent was the strongest generation. No matter how weak they were, they couldn't be that weak. This caused Lin Ling to accumulate more and more injuries. Finally, at that moment, they completely flared up. The flare-up of his old injury obviously affected Lin Ling's flame coffin. In addition to the words, death, which were glaring at him from all directions, Lin Ling suddenly became surrounded by danger. Sins committed by the heavens can be forgiven, but sins committed by oneself cannot be forgiven. The Thunderclap Mother roared excitedly. Although she wasn't sure what had happened to Lin Ling, the situation was clearly in favor of the Grim Reaper. Could it be that his old injury has flared up? What a pity. If he fought the Grim Reaper at his peak, he might have won. If you want to blame someone, blame Lin Ling for being too arrogant. It's good that he died. Shut up. You're so powerful. If you have the ability, go fight Lin Ling. Even if he gives you a handicap, you won't be his opponent. Voices sounded around Dayun Mountain. Some supported Lin Ling, while others were gloating. Of course, no matter what, they could see that Lin Ling was in trouble. However, although Lin Ling was in trouble, it wasn't the flare-up of his old injury that everyone had imagined. At that moment, Lin Ling's face was extremely ugly. He had spent a lot of effort to activate the flame coffin, and all the realm essence in his body was exhausted. However, the goddess of destiny didn't care about him. Perhaps it was because of the surrounding underworld energy, or perhaps it was because of the layers of pressure. His third Dantian was finally about to be born. And during the birth process, Lin Ling was obviously going to be distracted. This caused the words, death, to come crashing over like waves. Chapter 2742. Who else but me? I won't lose. Lin Ling let out a resolute voice. Unfortunately, what he got in return were layers upon layers of attacks. Blood rained down from the sky like rain. Moreover, the word death was gradually spreading towards him. Everyone's eyes trembled violently. Was the most monstrous genius of the day finally going to be defeated? However, the reality was that Lin Ling's figure gradually disappeared, leaving behind only the heartless word death, and those words of unwillingness. I won't lose. This sentence was obviously a show of strength. Boom. Boom. At the same time, a terrifying energy erupted in the sky. The power of the underworld obliterated everything. Lin Ling could no longer be seen. He could only see the word death turn everything into nothingness like swords and blades. One move to decide the outcome. As soon as the battle began, Lin Ling erupted with his trump card, the flame wheel. However, the first stage of the flame wheel did not cause the death god to feel any fear. However, when the flame wheel evolved into the flame coffin, the entire world was shocked. This move determined victory and defeat. Lin Ling had clearly won. However, just when everyone thought that the outcome had been decided, Lin Ling's old injuries suddenly flared up. In the end, before the flame wheel could form, he was completely obliterated. All of this was extremely regrettable. Of course, even so, everyone was certain that Lin Ling had won in their hearts. Because Lin Ling had fought continuously after the end of the third stage. Although he had lost, the Grim Reaper's victory was a disgrace. 10,000 years later, I believe that Qin province will still have the legend of Lin Ling. What a pity, what a pity. His luck is really bad. After a moment of silence, a large number of voices rang out. However, Thunderclap Mother and the rest snorted coldly. Luck is also a part of strength. That unlucky guy deserved to die. Thunderclap Mother, your filthy mouth can't spit out ivory. Vice Principal Gong, Ancestor Dragon Granny, and the others immediately cursed. Curse all you want. In any case, Lin Ling is dead. This is a principle that will never change. Unexpectedly, not only was Mother Lane not angry, she even laughed out loud. Damned Lin Ling, dying like this is really too easy for him. The Azure Dragon King also let out a cold laugh, causing Vice Principal Gong, Chi Yuhu, and the others to be furious. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. What's there to pity? If you want to blame someone, blame Lin Ling for being too arrogant. I didn't stop him from resting. He was the one who didn't want to rest. The Grim Reaper's voice drifted out, filled with pride and arrogance. Bring me Lin Ling's tombstone. He even roared into the distance of the Great Cloud Mountain. Then, a tombstone shot over with the words, Lin Ling's tomb, engraved on it. Bang! The tombstone smashed into the Great Cloud Lake, shocking everyone. From now on, this will be Lin Ling's grave. The tombstone fell to the ground, and the Grim Reaper wrapped his arms around the sky with indescribable pride. Looking at his magnificent scene, many people let out a long sigh. Although the Grim Reaper had an unfair advantage, he had indeed won. The first battle of the Sky Surpass leaderboard, Lin Ling has failed. After an unknown period of time, the mysterious judge also announced the result, causing many people to be in a daze. The first battle had already taken so long. It was simply the first time in the history of the Sky Surpass leaderboard. Of course, they also believed that the rising stars in the next battle would definitely not be as dazzling as Lin Ling. The situation in the outside world seemed to have been settled. However, in the rolling underworld energy, Lin Ling was still kneeling there with one knee. His whole body was covered in blood, and his bones were also cracking from the pressure. However, his eyes were completely red. Third Dantian, hurry up. He kept shouting in his heart. As long as the third Dantian was born, he would be able to recover his mind and control the flame coffin. Unfortunately, there was less and less time left for him. The sharp death word was cutting his whole body at this moment. Right now, he only had one choice, to give up on the birth of the third Dantian and focus on brewing the flame coffin. However, Lin Ling didn't choose to do so. He was going all out. For the Grim Reaper, to destroy a Dantian, he wasn't willing. Because this third Dantian was formed with his blood and sweat. Poof! The death word was sealed on Lin Ling's back, chest, limbs and more. The mysterious power was destroying him. I will never be defeated. What was terrifying was that Lin Ling, who was facing such a huge power, actually gritted his teeth and stood up. He was fighting against his will, he was racing against time. Boom! In his mind, there was a blurry sound. His Dantian finally exploded. The third Dantian was like a new world, rolling and turning, completely formed. After the third Dantian was formed, a mysterious power spread out and enveloped Lin Ling's whole body, causing his injuries to gradually recover by 20%. 20% was enough. His body stood up firmly and on his right hand, the flame coffin was mighty. Hold on, I said before, who can compete with the strongest generation? Boom! Just when everyone thought that the outcome was certain, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Silence. Great Cloud Mountain was deathly silent. Because many people noticed that it was Lin Ling's voice. Could it be that things had changed again? Countless eyes subconsciously looked to the sky. There, the power of the underworld was still cutting everything. It made people wonder if the voice from before was an illusion. As for the Grim Reaper, his gaze seemed to penetrate the endless death word and see the youth controlling the flames. There was only one sentence in his mind. This was fake. What happened before was an illusion. He should have won. Come out, the strongest flame wheel. However, the next voice let the Grim Reaper and the Thunderclap Mother know that it wasn't an illusion. Among the rolling death word in the sky, a ray of light shot out, penetrating a large number of death words and shooting into the sky. Then, there was a second, third, and fourth. Among the endless death words, there seemed to be a flame god sealed. However, if the flames weren't extinguished, how could they be sealed? This caused endless rays of light to shoot out like a sea urchin. Boom! Finally, the rolling waves of air exploded, directly destroying the vast Dayun mountain and turning it into a flat land. In the sky, countless death words were blasted into pieces. A huge flame coffin appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The new flaming coffin was even larger and was beating like a heart. Under the flaming coffin, the young man was as small as an ant. However, as he carried the flaming coffin, his footsteps echoed in the sky. Wherever the flaming coffin passed, the word death would be burned by a fierce flame and eventually turn to ashes. Even the sky started to distort and blur. At this moment, everything was silent. Everyone could sense that the flame coffin in front of them was clearly much more frightening than the one before. Isn't his old injury acting up? The Thunderclap Mother, the Azure Dragon King, and the other ancient Qingzhou authorities looked very uncomfortable. At this moment it was as if they had been slapped in the face. They were completely speechless. Grim Reaper, you've lost. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling's long hair danced wildly. His expression was firm as he finally spoke. The flame coffin in his hand was like a flag that turned the tide. At this moment, it was shining brightly. Who else could do it but me? Pa! With the huge coffin in his hand, he walked towards the Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper, use your strongest move. I want to destroy you properly. Chapter 2743. The Power of the Flaming Coffin. After 4 years of hard work, he could finally see the results. This also meant that if he could defeat the Grim Reaper, he could also defeat the Sovereign Justice Marquis. Even though the Sovereign Justice Marquis was like a giant in Qingzhou, he could use 4 years to sweep the Tianyue rankings. This meant that anything was possible. Me. Compared to Lin Ling's powerful aura, the Grim Reaper's face was pale. He no longer had the arrogance from before. He even thought that Lin Ling was toying with him previously. Of course, this was just him forcefully comforting himself. After all, if Lin Ling really wanted to toy with him, how could he risk his life to fight? I don't want to fight anymore. I admit defeat. After hesitating for a moment, the Grim Reaper panicked. He wanted to escape. Previously, he had guessed that Lin Ling's flaming coffin couldn't be underestimated. Now, the flaming coffin made him feel that his life was in danger. After leaving behind these words, he immediately rushed towards the side of the ancient lake. His sorry state undoubtedly caused a large amount of laughter. This was the strongest generation in the Tianyue rankings. Moreover, some geniuses who worshipped the Grim Reaper were tongue-tied. This was because according to the Grim Reaper's rumors, Lin Ling had overestimated himself and fought with him. In the end, Lin Ling was defeated and didn't dare to face the Grim Reaper again. But now, who was running away? Who was defeated and didn't dare to face Lin Ling? You want to escape. In the final battle, only one person can survive. Seeing that the Grim Reaper wanted to escape, Lin Ling took a step and disappeared with the huge flaming coffin. When he appeared again, he was already in front of the Grim Reaper. This guy still has power. Looking at Lin Ling's unfathomable speed, everyone was shocked again. Even the Grim Reaper was the same. He knew that Lin Ling had to use all his boundary essence to activate the flaming coffin. But now, Lin Ling had boundary essence again. Very surprised, right? I can only say that what I have and what I know is beyond your imagination. Lin Ling looked down at the death god as if he was looking at an ant, because he could use the world essence, which was the power born from his third Dantian. Although that Dantian had not reached the true god realm, if he used all of his strength, he could still barely use the 6 realms speed once. In the past, you stood high above me and looked down on me. Today, you can only look up to me. You are even afraid of me and avoid me. And you only have 4 years. Lin Ling spat out another sentence. At this moment, he was proud. He wanted to crush the Death God. For years. Death God muttered to himself. It was only now that he realized just how terrifying Lin Ling was. From being crushed to being crushed, the time it took for a martial artist to go into seclusion. Are you regretting it now? Are you surprised? Are you afraid? Unfortunately, it's too late. Lin Ling didn't waste any more time. He lifted the giant coffin and smashed it towards the Grim Reaper. The rolling flames caused the Grim Reaper's mind to be in a mess. His mind went blank, and only one sentence kept ringing in his ears. He was about to enter the coffin. The tombstone that he prepared was actually left for him. Lin Ling, you win. Stop. However, at this moment, the old voice suddenly sounded. In the sky, a short and stout old man in a black robe appeared. He grabbed at Lin Ling. It seemed like he wanted to stop Lin Ling from unleashing his strongest attack. However, his method was extremely vicious. It was aimed at Lin Ling's dantian. This attack was obviously meant to cripple Lin Ling. This old man was none other than the referee. How dare you? Sensing the opponent's shameless attack, Lin Ling suddenly shouted angrily. You are very bold. You actually want to kill a genius of the great Azure Divine Dynasty. Let me tell you, as long as I am here, no one can kill him. The old man shouted coldly. His face was emotionless. Since you have said so, I must kill him. Lin Ling's eyes turned red. He was going all out. After all, if he let the Grim Reaper go today, there would be endless trouble in the future. Therefore, at this point, Lin Ling would not be soft-hearted. You are courting death. The old man did not expect Lin Ling to be so determined to kill the Grim Reaper even if he had to risk his life. What an arrogant young man. The people also stared at Lin Ling. They did not expect that Lin Ling would still attack even when the referee appeared. This was equivalent to perishing together with the Grim Reaper. Was this Lin Ling's way of telling everyone that if they dared to provoke him, he would kill them no matter how far away they were? How dare you touch my people? You are the one who is courting death. However, Lin Ling also had friends in the Great Cloud Mountain. These people would not let the old man do as he wished. Therefore, a roar was heard. The tiger god from the east chased after the sun and chased after the moon. He arrived beside Lin Ling at a speed faster than 10 realms. Moreover, he threw out a powerful punch. Roar! Along with the punch, the tiger god roared at the sky. The true god martial spirit order changed heaven and earth. You dare to stop me? The old man was shocked. His hand turned into a claw and grabbed at the void. Suddenly, a huge black snake appeared behind him. The snake raised its head high, and there were 4 pairs of eyes on its neck. Together with the claw, it shot out. Pop! 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 The fist and the claw collided. A terrifying shockwave swept out, causing many warriors in the Great Cloud Mountain to vomit blood and retreat. Lin Ling, kill him. The man who threw out the punch was like the tiger god. At this moment, he roared. Yes, my lord. Lin Ling's gaze swept over, and his heart was filled with gratitude. Today, he was the enemy of everyone. Everyone wanted him dead, but there was a man who was always by his side to protect him. That was the old marshal of the Martial God Battalion, Lord Red Jade Tiger. Grim Reaper, no one in the world can save you. Collecting his thoughts, Lin Ling coldly spat out a sentence. The flaming coffin was activated. The ancient heart was beating, and the rolling aura caused the sky to fall silent. Everyone saw a huge coffin appear above the Grim Reaper's head. In the next moment, the coffin exploded like a flower bud. Endless flames mixed with endless power completely drowned the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper's eyes were wide open. He was called the Grim Reaper, but now, someone had taken his life. He didn't even have a chance to say a word before he was burned to ashes. Boom! Boom! The great cloud lake completely collapsed. The power that could shatter heaven and earth formed a huge mushroom cloud, destroying the sky of the green state. The sky was distorted and shattered. How ferocious! This is the flaming coffin. Who can stop an 8th-stage true god? If it was in the myriad worlds, I'm afraid it could destroy hundreds of worlds. Many warriors had already sensed it. At this moment, they were hiding far away. They looked at the forbidden flames, and their faces were pale with fright. Even the old monsters who had lived for 10,000 years shuddered at this moment. In their eyes, Lin Ling was a little monster. At such a young age, at such a realm, he could actually activate such an attack. This made them feel that their 10,000 years of cultivation were all for naught. Rumble. The aftermath was turbulent. Even the clash between the red jade tiger and the old man was affected at this moment. The two of them quickly retreated far away. After an unknown period of time, when everything calmed down, everyone saw that the great cloud lake seemed to have become bigger and bigger. It was even bigger than the second ring city. Obviously, under the impact of the flaming coffin, the ancient lake's surface area was infinitely enlarged. Chapter 2744. A Heaven's Pride. That tombstone is still there. Someone. Suddenly, someone cried out in alarm. Because in the middle of the endless lake, there was a tombstone. That was the tombstone brought by the death god. And the tombstone was not destroyed. Obviously, Lin Ling left it there on purpose. But looking at it carefully, the words on the tombstone had changed. There were 4 words engraved on it, Death God's Tomb. Looking at the endless great cloud lake, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This tomb was really big. Lin Ling also gave the death god a grand display. Death God, rest in peace. At the same time, in the sky above the great cloud lake, an indifferent voice floated out. Countless eyes were on the blue-robed youth. Blue robe, long hair, fluttering in the wind, shocking the entire Qing state. Today, Lin Ling successfully cleared the rankings and reached the top of the sky-surpassing rankings. All of this seemed simple, but when many people thought back to it, they discovered that this was like a dream. It was because in 10 consecutive battles, the opponents were even the most powerful of this generation. There really were people who succeeded, especially in the final battle, where victory was decided with a single move. This was even more soul-stirring, turning the tide. Brother Ling, you won. Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gu held each other's hands excitedly and looked at the man in the sky with pride. As for the Resplendent Academy, it was completely silent. Especially Dean Qin, her face was extremely gloomy. The dazzling blue and white robe in the sky, and the stubborn genius Lin Ling who left the academy in the past, had quietly merged. Everything was so real. Was it because of his unyielding character that he resisted his juniors? Moreover, this moment originally belonged to the Resplendent Academy. Unfortunately, one wrong step led to many wrong steps. Of course, this was not a mistake in her estimation, but she never expected that someone could completely clear the rankings in 4 years. She looked at the entire Great Cloud Mountain again and found that some people were excited, some were trembling in excitement, and many female disciples were even looking at her with longing. This made her sigh again. Lin Ling, she was afraid that he had left a heavy shadow in the 3 great academies. He was an outstanding talent among the 3 great academies. Bastard, this guy really succeeded. Some were excited, some were surprised, and of course, some were angry. The Thunderclap Mother, the Azure Dragon King, and the others were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. It was obviously very difficult for them to kill Lin Ling now. Lin Ling, although you've become number 1 on the Heavenly Transcendence list, how should you be punished for killing a fellow disciple? But at this moment, a sharp roar suddenly sounded out. The black-robed old man angrily appeared in the sky. It was obvious that Lin Ling had killed someone in front of him. This made him feel that he had lost all of his dignity. Lin Ling's eyes flickered, and anger rose in his heart. "You're a referee," he roared. "Get lost. You're telling me to scram. Do you know who I am?" The black-robed old man didn't seem to believe his ears. He said malevolently, "I think you're really out of control." As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately attacked. His surging aura suppressed Lin Ling. "You're a judge, yet you're being unfair and unjust. How shameless can you be?" However, Lord Red Jade Tiger was clearly prepared. He immediately wanted to stop the old man. As for the Lords 8 in the distance, they were all furious. They had all seen how despicable the referee was. However, they didn't say anything when Lin Ling was clearing the list. Now that Lin Ling had become a number 1 on the Heavenly Transcendence list, the referee still dared to be arrogant. "My lord, let him come. I want to see if he dares to touch me." Just as Red Jade Tiger was about to attack, Lin Ling shouted coldly. Red Jade Tiger's expression changed, and he subconsciously stopped attacking. The black-robed old man's hand was still grabbing at Lin Ling. He was getting angrier and angrier. He didn't believe that Lin Ling wasn't afraid of him. He was from the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. Although Lin Ling had some ability, did he have the right to refute him? Even further back, he had killed countless juniors like Lin Ling in the past. However, Lin Ling still didn't retreat. With his hands behind his back and his blue robe fluttering, he watched the black-robed old man charge at him. "I want to see if you're the only one who calls the shots in the Great Azure Divine Dynasty." When his voice floated out, the crowd's hearts exploded. Lin Ling was really bold. "Stop." However, just as the black-robed old man was about to grab Lin Ling, a delicate voice suddenly rang out. The voice was like a bell, causing endless echoes in everyone's hearts. The black-robed old man frowned. Looking at the person who had come, his expression turned ugly and he immediately stopped attacking. In the distance, several figures appeared. They didn't seem to be walking fast, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared in the sky above the great cloud lake. Leading them was a young child. He looked like he was carved from jade, but his aura was extremely powerful. With his hands behind his back, he looked like the son of heaven. "People from the imperial court." The old man stared at the person who had come. His eyes were filled with indignation and anger. However, the child ignored the old man. Instead, he smiled at Lin Ling and said, not bad at all. This is the first time in the history of the Qingzhou Divine Dynasty that the list has been cleansed." Everyone could see that the mysterious child seemed to think highly of Lin Ling. Moreover, he seemed to have come with good intentions. However, Lin Ling ignored the child. Instead, he looked at the old man and said, "I've said that you can't kill me. Now, do you believe me?" "You." The black-robed old man was so angry that his body trembled. However, he really didn't dare to touch Lin Ling. "Come, I'm standing right in front of you. If you don't touch me, your whole family is trash." Lin Ling said sarcastically as if he wouldn't shock the old man to death. He already knew that someone would appear because the Heavenly Transcendence ranking was the Great Azure Divine Dynasty's ranking. Becoming the strongest generation would definitely enter the eyes of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. Therefore, he believed that the shameless judge wouldn't be able to touch him. "Don't be too arrogant." The black-robed old man had never suffered such humiliation before. Therefore, his voice was distorted. "Piak." Lin Ling took a step forward and said, "So what if I'm arrogant?" His words were direct and to the point, carrying with them a domineering aura. "Judge? He must be a judge with a pair of dog eyes. So what if I'm arrogant for him to see? Justice is in everyone's heart. I don't believe that he dares to cover the sky with one hand. Damn old man, try touching Lin Ling. Under Lin Ling's voice, something surprising happened. The geniuses from the 3 academies actually started to scold him one after another. Perhaps, they looked down on Lin Ling in the beginning because they thought that Lin Ling was a rising star. How could he use the identity of a junior to suppress a senior? However, in the following 3 rounds of assessment, in addition to sweeping the heavenly transcendence ranking, Lin Ling's powerful strength had already made them unconvinced. In this world, strength represented everything. Those with true strength would naturally be respected by others. This guy has really won the hearts of the people. Meng Lu couldn't help but shake his head when he heard the crazy voices around him. However, he wasn't surprised by this scene. Instead, he was surprised by the miracle that Lin Ling had created. In the past, during the Battle of Pride, he had fought with Lin Ling. It could be said that he was more familiar with Lin Ling than anyone else. However, because he was familiar with him, he knew that Lin Ling had defeated the Grim Reaper. He knew how valuable that was and how terrifying the speed of his growth was. Chapter 2745. 5 Magnates. All of you. The old man didn't expect that everyone would dare to scold him. He was fuming with anger. Lin Ling, you're qualified to enter the 5th Ring City. At that moment, a roar came from afar. It was like the cry of an eagle, but also like the roar of a lion. It shook the heavens and earth. Under countless gazes, a large number of majestic griffins flew over from afar. They were extremely fast, and the wind from their wings directly flipped over a large number of martial artists. These griffins had the might of a lion, and their eyes were emitting a ruthless and domineering light. On the griffins, a large number of men in armor stood there. Their auras were also unfathomable. Griffins? Could it be? There were many experts around the Yun Mountain who had explored the 5th Ring City. At that moment, they also guessed something. The Griffins were the Great Green God Dynasty's Blue Flame Army. This huge force belonged to the Prime Minister. Most importantly, the Prime Minister was also one of the 5 magnates of the Great Green God Dynasty. The Great Green God Dynasty was as deep as the sea, but there were 5 famous forces, and the Prime Minister was one of them. Could it be? More people's eyes flickered, and a terrifying thought arose in their minds. Lin Ling, how about joining the Blue Flame Army? On the Griffin, a burly man said lightly. Indeed, he was here to recruit Lin Ling. Obviously, Lin Ling had attracted the attention of the 5th Ring City today. Even Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He sensed that the people on the Griffins were all existences that had surpassed the true God realm. They seemed to have come from ancient times, and they were hiding the secrets of the universe. Lin Ling actually caught the eye of the Blue Flame Army. As for the Marquis of Sovereign Justice, Mother of Thunder, and the rest, they all had ugly expressions. This was the scene that they didn't want to see the most. Impressive. With your own strength, you swept the sky surpass list. Junior, what's your name? At that moment, the ethereal voice sounded again. In the sky, a scholar in a white robe appeared and smiled at Lin Ling. I'm Lin Ling. Lin Ling immediately replied. He sensed that this scholar was an indomitable existence. I am from the Left Minister's residence. The Left Minister is very interested in you. Are you interested in joining the Left Minister's residence? The scholar went straight to the point. He was actually here to recruit Lin Ling. With this, everyone was endlessly shocked. Even Lin Ling was like so too. He never would have thought that this heavenly surpass leaderboard's #1 had such great value. Left Prime Minister's mansion. One of the 5 magnates. The Azure Dragon King's expression turned even uglier. He felt as if his heart was being cut by a knife. This was because 2 of the 5 magnates were here to recruit Lin Ling. First come, first served. Our imperial dynasty came first. Do you all want to snatch people from us? However, at this moment, the young child spoke as well. Moreover, he looked fearlessly at the two overlord forces. Imperial Court. It's you, Copperman. The two magnates seemed to have just noticed the child, and their eyes flickered with excitement. This was because the Imperial Court was also one of the 5 magnates. Moreover, most of the people in this force had the royal bloodline. They could not be underestimated. Recruitment is not a matter of first come, first served. Everything depends on Lin Ling. However, the man standing on the griffin pondered for a moment before he said, "Don't worry about it." If Lin Ling was the number 1 on the Heavenly Surpass leaderboard, he might have withdrawn from this recruitment for the sake of the Imperial Court. However, Lin Ling had come from nothing. He was the strongest person in the generation who had successfully cleared the leaderboard. His potential was extremely tempting. That's right. Everything depends on Lin Ling. The scholar in white also said. Then, he looked at Lin Ling and said, "Lin Ling, your martial Tao is very diverse. You are very strong in every field. The left minister's residence has accumulated the great Tao of 10,000 worlds. It is very suitable for you." His words were filled with temptation. Seeing this, the man on the griffin also said, "The 5-ring city is as deep as the sea. If you join the wrong force, there will be unimaginable consequences. Lin Ling, you have to think carefully." His words were filled with threats. As for the child, he frowned but did not say anything. However, he looked at Lin Ling. The people looked at the 3 magnates and were terrified. They did not expect that these magnates would fight openly and secretly for Lin Ling. He has spread his wings and soared high. The one with the most complicated feelings was undoubtedly Lei Mother. She clenched her fists tightly. She was very unwilling to accept this. She knew that it would be very difficult to kill Lin Ling. As for the other people who had a grudge against Lin Ling, they were the same. They felt as if a huge rock was pressing down on their hearts. It was extremely difficult for them to breathe. However, they could do nothing but watch as Lin Ling continued to rise. At this moment, Lin Ling did not pay attention to the crowd. Instead, he looked at the 3 magnates. Among them, he had eliminated the army of Blue Flame. This was because Lin Ling hated being threatened by others the most. As for the residence of the left Prime Minister, he suddenly thought of the residence of the left Prime Minister. This genius should be from the residence of the left Prime Minister. Therefore, Lin Ling shook his head secretly. Finally, his gaze fell on the child. "Lin Ling, you have to know that your choice will affect your future." Sensing Lin Ling's gaze, the man on the griffin immediately said coldly. If Lin Ling did not work for him, he might become an enemy in the future. Thank you for your reminder. However, I have a request. Lin Ling ignored the man's threat and said indifferently. Say it. There is nothing that the army of Blue Flame cannot do. The residence of the left Prime Minister can also help you do anything. Hearing this, the 2 magnates immediately spoke. I want to kill him. Lin Ling's gaze suddenly fell on the old man in the black robe. The old man's eyes narrowed. Lin Ling wants to kill him. This guy is really vengeful. The crowd was also surprised by Lin Ling's choice. However, many of them were also excited. With the old man in the black robe's strength, many people could not do anything to him. However, Lin Ling was able to take him down. This was not Lin Ling's fault. The old man in the black robe provoked Lin Ling first. Him. However, the 2 magnates' eyes lit up. Lin Ling asked, Is it very difficult? A little. This person is representing the great Qing divine dynasty. Moreover, he is also from the Imperial Censor Dragon Court. One of them said. When he saw that Lin Ling was puzzled, he explained, the Imperial Censor Dragon Court is actually one of the 5 magnates. Huh, Lin Ling, do you want to kill me? Come on, I am standing right in front of you. Let's see how you are going to kill me. If you don't kill me, then you are a piece of trash. The old man in the black robe suddenly roared proudly. Lin Ling immediately frowned. He did not expect the old man to have such a strong background. It is a little difficult to kill him. However, it is not impossible to teach him a lesson. However, at this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded. A mysterious cloaked man behind the young boy attacked. His attack was extremely fast, exceeding the speed of 10 worlds. Chapter 2746. Fall or Rise. As for the black-robed elder, he was still feeling pleased with himself, but his laughter soon stopped. His face was filled with disbelief. Destroy. A deep roar could be heard as Qin Nan placed his palm on the old man's chest, causing a mysterious force to burst out. Puff. The black-robed old man spat out a mouthful of blood as his body flew backwards. What was surprising was that the mysterious cloaked man's attack wasn't violent. Instead, it was like a gentle push. However, Lin Ling discovered that the black-robed old man's dantian was actually withering at this moment, gradually becoming a cripple. You crippled me. The black-robed old man naturally sensed the change in his dantian. His face was filled with pain, extreme pain. Had he become a cripple from now on? That mysterious cloaked man's strength was really too strange. However, the mysterious cloaked man ignored him and turned to leave. I'm sorry, I didn't want to touch you, but if I don't touch you, you'll become trash. So I have no choice but to touch you. If you want to blame someone, blame your mouth for being too poisonous. At this moment, Lin Ling smiled and shrugged helplessly, as if to say, I didn't want to touch you, you forced me. You. Seeing Lin Ling's appearance, the black-robed old man spat out another mouthful of blood. Lin Ling ordered people to cripple him, but he actually pretended to be innocent. He was furious. He couldn't accept it. He hated it. Scram. Unfortunately, it was useless. Lin Ling shouted angrily. Did the black-robed old man still have the right to be arrogant? Me. Oh. Lin Ling, I'll remember you. The black-robed old man was clearly infuriated to the point of almost losing his mind. Now that he'd become a cripple, Lin Ling had directly asked him to fuck off, but he refused. So, Lin Ling could rely on himself to kill him. This was a huge contrast for him. Thus, not too long ago, he was the judge. All of the strongest generation were under his control. If he wanted to harm someone, it was as easy as flipping his hand. Who would have thought that Lin Ling would attract the attention of the 5 magnates and cripple him in the end? Falling from a lofty position into the abyss in an instant, no one would be able to accept this. Don't remember it for too long. Lin Ling replied coldly. If it wasn't for the black-robed old man's background, Lin Ling would have probably left the ladder behind today. The black-robed old man didn't dare to stay any longer and left with his tail between his legs. This caused many people to sigh endlessly. However, they didn't sympathize with the old man because this was caused by the old man provoking Lin Ling. This was also a sin brought upon by the heavens that could be forgiven, but a sin brought upon oneself was the hardest to bear. Okay, I will join the imperial dynasty. At the same time, Lin Ling made his decision. Even though he didn't know what the imperial court did, he recognized the mysterious person who had attacked earlier. It was Void, whom he had met once in the 8 gods' heavenly palace. As a matter of fact, Lin Ling was not familiar with this mysterious person, but he knew that this person was related to Grandma Wendao. This meant that the imperial court was also related to Grandma Wendao. In fact, the mysterious man's sudden attack was actually a warning to him. However, compared to the first time they met, this mysterious man named Void had greatly improved his strength. Okay, Lin Ling, you have made your final choice. I hope you won't regret it. Seeing that Lin Ling had made his choice, the man on the griffin nodded coldly and left with the griffin. I didn't expect you to choose the imperial court. As for the scholar from the left minister's residence, he shook his head and left with a step. The two magnates were obviously in a bad mood, as if they had lost some face. Of course, with their seniority, it wasn't appropriate for them to teach Lin Ling a lesson. Moreover, with the people from the imperial court present, they couldn't do it. Lin Ling, from today onwards, you are a member of the imperial court. The young child looked at Lin Ling and revealed a cute smile. Of course, even though the smile was cute, his identity didn't make others feel that he was cute. Lin Ling has joined the imperial court of the 5 magnates. The imperial court is one of the forces that dominate the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. They are the same as the other magnates, fighting openly and secretly within the Divine Dynasty. The imperial court also has the bloodline of the imperial family. Lin Ling is getting closer and closer to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. The people of Dayun Mountain began to whisper. The current Lin Ling wasn't someone that anyone could provoke. The geniuses of Heavenly Saint Academy, Resplendent Academy, and Sangling Academy looked at Lin Ling with admiration. After all, they knew that even the Grim Reaper didn't seem to have caught the attention of the 5 magnates. However, Lin Ling had done it. Alright, let's go back. Lin Ling floated in the sky and scanned the entire Dayun Mountain. The heavy burden in his heart seemed to have disappeared. In this battle, his name shook the entire Qing state. In this battle, he had also completed his goal. To fall or to rise, he chose to rise. Lin Ling. My lord. Luo Hua, Flowing Water, and the others all cried out in surprise and rushed into the sky. Lin Ling also smiled and led the crowd away into the distance. Where's the Azure Dragon King? Why didn't he kill Lin Ling? Looking at the carefree Lin Ling, many people's eyes moved quietly. However, the overbearing, majestic lord of Four Ring City had a gloomy face at this moment and was silent. It seems that the Azure Dragon King doesn't dare to kill Lin Ling. Where's the Thunder Mother? Everyone was shocked as they looked at the other Qingzhou giant. However, the Thunder Mother was also silent. There was even a billowing murderous aura around her body that formed thunderbolts, causing people to stay away from her. Obviously, she didn't dare to make a move, and because of that, she suppressed her anger to the extreme. Lin Ling has become the number 1 on the Heavenly Crossing list and entered the 5th city of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. These old monsters of Qing State don't dare to touch Lin Ling. Although they had guessed earlier, many people still felt that it was unreal after witnessing it with their own eyes. This was because before the Heavenly Crossing list began, these old monsters had threatened to kill Lin Ling. Moreover, each and every one of them was sitting there to watch a good show. The current scene seemed to be completely different from the grand words at the beginning. Now that they thought about it, the final result was like a slap to their faces. Lin Ling. Yes. The Sovereign Marquis muttered to himself and then left. No one knew what he was thinking. The remaining experts also left one after another. When the Azure Dragon King left, he swept his dragon tail and killed a large number of innocent cultivators. Obviously, he was venting his anger on the weak. The Azure Dragon King is so scary. Yes. Looking at how he killed tens of thousands of lives with a wave of his hand, the cultivators in the distance were all shocked. Next, although it was still the Battle of the Sky Surpass list, but people suddenly felt that it was dull and boring. Even the geniuses of the 3 major academies felt the same. In their opinion, no matter how exciting the next battle was, it wasn't as attractive as the miracle created by Lin Ling. Especially the geniuses of the Radiant Academy. At this moment, they looked at each other and were actually speechless. Now, was Lin Ling still considered a genius of the Radiant Academy? Chapter 2747. Begging Lin Ling, I will surpass you. Staring at the departing figure, Meng Lu muttered to himself with a solemn expression. He no longer planned on charging into the rankings because no matter how hard he tried, Lin Ling would always surpass him. The people of Great Cloud Mountain all had their own thoughts. Some left, some stayed behind, but without exception, they were all reminiscing about the wonderful battle from before. Rainforest Market. After Lin Ling returned, he entered seclusion. Because he needed to familiarize himself with the birth of the third Dantian. And the Battle of the Sky Surpass rankings had also benefited Lin Ling greatly. He was more familiar with his own strength. His final trump card, the Flame Wheel, could probably kill all 7th level True God powerhouses. Even 8th level True God powerhouses would find it hard to resist. And if he didn't rely on the Flame Wheel, Lin Ling could defeat any 6th level True God with his various trump cards. This meant that at the late stage True God realm, Lin Ling could threaten half of the people. Thinking back to everything, Lin Ling felt like he was in a dream. When he first came to the martial god world, he was only in existence at the lowest level. Facing the heavenly court, facing his greatest enemy, Tian Liuli, he could only look up. The road of revenge was still very far away. But now, that goal was getting closer and closer. The third Dantian is only at the initial stage. It hasn't even reached the World King realm. I have to find more divine crystals. Then, Lin Ling muttered to himself. If the third Dantian's realm was the same as the first Dantian, his strength could increase by another 30%. And the goal of this seclusion was to familiarize himself. 3 days later, Lin Ling exited seclusion. At this moment, there were even more customers in the rainforest market. Moreover, this market had opened several branches in the first ring city, second ring city, and even third ring city. Everyone knew that the shopkeeper of this market was an extraordinary existence, so no one dared to cause trouble in the market. Knowing that Lin Ling had come out of seclusion, those acquaintances also came one after another. Luo Ri Yao was the first to arrive because he had spent a lot of divine crystals on Lin Ling's market. He planned to cooperate with Gong Yangjiang to make Lin Ling's market the largest in Qing province. For a junior like Lin Ling, he had clearly gambled away his entire fortune. Lin Ling, congratulations. After that, Luo Ri Yao couldn't help but laugh as he looked at the spirited young man. To him, thinking back to the first time he met Lin Ling, he felt that it was very unreal. At that time, it was in the 8 Gods' heavenly palace, and at that time, Lin Ling was very weak and had only just entered his eyes. But who would have thought that in less than 2,000 years, this youth would reach such heights? Firm willpower, fearless courage, hard work, and mysterious talent. If this Lin Ling were to grow up again, Qing province would definitely be his world. Senior Luo Ri Yao. Lin Ling smiled in greeting. As he swept his eyes around, he discovered that everyone was here, all of them looking at him with happy expressions. Lin Ling suddenly thought that if his grandfather and the others reached the World King realm and came to Qing province, he would be able to protect them. Lin Ling, congratulations, congratulations. You have entered the imperial court. He, this means that you have entered the core of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. At this time, Vice Dean Gong, Ancestor Dragon Granny, and the others also arrived. Lin Ling politely greeted them, especially Ancestor Dragon Granny. When Lin Ling was weak, this senior had taken care of Lin Ling a great deal. Thus, Lin Ling was extremely respectful towards her. As for Ancestor Dragon Granny, she was actually a bit excited. As she looked at Lin Ling, it was like she was watching a junior gradually grow up, finally becoming a thick and solid tree that stood in his own domain. This sort of sense of accomplishment was even greater than Lin Ling's. That's right, Lin Ling, the elders of Resplendent Academy are outside the gates. After a brief conversation, Vice Dean Gong suddenly looked at Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling to frown. Are they here to cause trouble again? No, they are here to invite you back to Resplendent Academy. Hearing this, Vice Dean Gong bitterly smiled. Just as his voice fell, an old figure took the lead to rush out. Moreover, he was in a somewhat distressed state, so he stumbled and fell to his knees with a thud. It was unknown whether this was intentional or not. And the person he was kneeling to was Lin Ling. Immediately, the entire city square was shocked again and again. This was because they discovered that the old man who was kneeling was actually Elder Xia Ren. This change caused Ancestor Dragon Granny's mouth to drop open. This old undying existence had repeatedly made things difficult for Lin Ling in the past. He had even nearly taken away Lin Ling's city square. And now, just what the hell was he doing? You are really bold. Do you really think that I don't dare to touch you? At the same time, Lin Ling said coldly. He had also recognized this old man. As soon as he said this, Yu and the others' faces turned cold. It was as if they would immediately attack at the slightest disagreement. The current Lin Ling was no longer afraid of Xia Ren. However, just as Lin Ling's words fell, the old man's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Don't misunderstand. I'm here on behalf of Resplendent Academy." His face was filled with panic and fear. He no longer had the attitude of flaunting his seniority. This time, Ancestor Dragon Granny was surprised. There was something wrong with Xia Ren. Lin Ling frowned but did not say anything. It's like this. I'm here on behalf of Resplendent Academy to invite Sir Lin Ling back to Resplendent Academy. Looking at Lin Ling's cold appearance, Xia Ren felt aggrieved and depressed. This was because this was Dean Qin's intention. Moreover, Dean Qin knew that the grudge between him and Lin Ling wasn't light, so he had insisted that he come to apologize. This was really difficult for him. However, he couldn't refute Dean Qin's ruthless request. If he angered Dean Qin, the Dean might even attack him. Therefore, he braced himself and came. Of course, he also knew that Lin Ling had entered Five Ring City. Even if he was weaker than him now, he would definitely surpass him in the future. Therefore, he didn't want to miss this opportunity to shake hands and make peace. Get lost. Lin Ling finally knew the other party's purpose, but he didn't give him any face. No, I'm already so old. Perhaps I'll die tomorrow. Please give me some face and return to Resplendent Academy with me. Xia Ren's expression changed drastically. He almost knelt down and kowtowed. What face do you have? However, Lin Ling directly retorted, making Xia Ren unable to put down his face. He was an elder of the academy and an exceptional talent of the past. At the entrance of the market, people rubbed their eyes, thinking that they were seeing things. An elder of Resplendent Academy actually took the initiative to ask a disciple to return to the academy. Was this a joke? Elder Sister Ancestor Dragon Granny, help me. If I can't bring Lin Ling back, Dean Qin will definitely pull out my bones. Seeing Lin Ling's ruthless rejection, Xia Ren hurriedly crawled towards Ancestor Dragon Granny. He hugged her leg and cried. With tears and snot, he looked extremely pitiful. Chapter 2748. Fifth Revolution for Symbols Poison. This scene caused her to bitterly smile. The knot in her heart was knotted just like that. And all of this was brought about by Lin Ling. Big sister, are you cursing me for being older than you? Scram. Ancestor Dragon Granny would not miss the chance to take revenge. She kicked Xia Ren out of the city like a gourd. Ha! Outside the gate, the crowd burst into laughter. Not only was Xia Ren an elder of the academy, he also had a noble status as a world spiritist. However, he was in such a sorry state when facing Lin Ling. It could be seen that Dean Qin had given Xia Ren a death order. This, you have to save me. Xia Ren immediately crawled back, his aged face filled with pain. Provoking Lin Ling, this fiend, was simply the worst decision of his life. Xia Ren, you go back first. I'll speak to Dean Qin for you. I'll talk to him about Lin Ling's return. At this moment, Vice Dean Gong walked out and said. This caused Xia Ren to be excited and he quickly knelt down and kowtowed. Since the Vice Dean had spoken, he had finally escaped a calamity. Immediately, he left in a sorry state. After leaving the city, a large number of youths had gathered in the distance. They were all looking at Xia Ren expectantly. However, when they saw Xia Ren walking out alone, they immediately sighed. These people were all geniuses of the Resplendent Academy. They had also come to welcome Lin Ling back. Unfortunately, they could see that Elder Xia Ren had failed. In a restaurant even further away from Second Ring City, Dean Qin also sighed. After the ranking had ended, she went back and carefully thought about it. Her heart was filled with regret. After all, from nothing to something, sweeping through the sky surpassing rankings. This was the first time in the Azure province. Such a proud matter should have appeared in the annals of the Resplendent Academy. However, she had killed it with her own hands. Thus, if Lin Ling did not return to the academy, she would be too embarrassed to record this proud matter in the annals of history. And now, she could only look to Vice Dean Gong. Dean, as far as I know, this Lin Ling is very ruthless to his enemies. However, if you become his friend, he would be willing to sacrifice himself. Sigh. Beside him, an extremely beautiful woman smiled. It was Senior Dandelion. What do you mean? Dean Qin's eyes lit up as he looked at the latter. Last time, the principal had indeed gone a little too far. So, if we want Lin Ling to forgive Resplendent Academy, we can only do so with sincerity. Senior Dandelion laughed. Slowly approach him. Do your best to give him some help. For example, his rainforest market, his family and friends. Especially when there are enemies coming to kill us. If Resplendent Academy can provide crucial help, then our conflict with Lin Ling will definitely be resolved. From what you say, that is indeed the case. Dean Qin was overjoyed. If Lin Ling returned, she would be proud of something in her life. But now, who dares to provoke Lin Ling? Damn it, those enemies had better come quickly, otherwise we won't be able to help him at all. Then, Dean Qin mumbled to himself. Senior Dandelion was speechless. Wasn't this just looking for trouble? If Lin Ling found out, forget about returning to the academy, he would even treat Dean Qin as an enemy. At this moment, Vice Principal Gong was constantly persuading Lin Ling, but Lin Ling was stubborn. Once he had decided on something, he would not change it. Vice Principal Gong almost knelt down and called him Little Ancestor. Unfortunately, to Lin Ling, making up for it afterwards was of no use. Because if Lin Ling failed, what awaited him would be endless ridicule and death. Now that Resplendent Academy had come to add flowers to the brocade, it was obviously useless. Some things, once there is a crack, no matter how much you want to mend it, it will be useless. In the end, Lin Ling said indifferently. Vice Principal Gong did not try to persuade him anymore. He knew that this matter could not be rushed. Lin Ling, there is something I must tell you. At this time, a tall figure walked in through the door. He was dressed in loose clothes, looking lazy and calm. However, there was a hint of anxiety in his eyes. Eighth Lord. Lin Ling obviously knew this man, and an ominous feeling rose in his heart. Red Jade Tiger is injured. Eighth Lord's gaze swept across the people in the market, and finally landed on Lin Ling. He said anxiously. What? Hearing this, Lin Ling's expression finally changed. What happened to Lord Red Jade Tiger? Yu and the others also sounded anxious. Even Falling Flowers, Flowing Water, and the others took a step forward, their faces full of worry. They were all from the Martial Gods Battalion, and they had special feelings for Lord Red Jade Tiger. Moreover, after Lin Ling and the others came to Qingzhou, Red Jade Tiger had been helping them. This was a huge favor. Sir, Please save Marshal Red Jade Tiger. At this time, several figures appeared in the market. They were Huang Fuidao and the other two great generals. This made Lin Ling's expression even more serious. He realized that this matter was no small matter. Everyone, quiet down. Lin Ling waved his hand and looked at Eighth Lord. Eighth Lord nodded and said slowly, 3 days ago, when you killed Death God in the battle of the Heavenly Transcendence Rankings, the black-robed old man attacked you. That old man is Mo Lao, one of the divine adjudicators of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, and he belongs to the Imperial Censor Dragon Court. Red Jade Tiger, in order to stop him, exchanged a few blows with him and was poisoned by him. Hearing this, Lin Ling suddenly remembered. If he remembered correctly, that despicable black-robed old man's talent seemed to be a snake. With Lord Red Jade Tiger's strength, Mo Lao's poison shouldn't be able to hurt him. Lin Ling asked. If it was a poison triggered by his talent, Red Jade Tiger would not be afraid. However, that sinister old man hid the 5 transformation for symbols demon in his attack, and it formed the world poison. Yesterday, Red Jade Tiger discovered that his Dantian was implanted with the world poison, and it began to transform into the 5 transformation for symbols realm. Eighth Lord said word by word. What kind of poison is this? Falling flowers, flowing water, and the others frowned when they heard this. However, Lin Ling's face was extremely solemn at this moment because he had heard of this poison before. Therefore, he explained, this poison forms the 5 transformation for symbols in a martial artist's Dantian, and it forms 9 realms. This means that an interface has appeared in Lord Red Jade Tiger's Dantian, and it will continue to expand until Lord Red Jade Tiger explodes. What? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. How big were the interfaces? For example, the rainforest sacred ground. However, such interfaces had appeared in Lord Red Jade Tiger's Dantian, and there were 9 of them. If the interfaces were completely formed, who could stop it? His entire body would probably explode. This poison was terrifying. We have exhausted all methods, but we can't detoxify it. The main reason is that this poison is too strong. Eighth Lord said helplessly. With his power, he did not care about ordinary poisons, but he was helpless against the world poison. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.